ESPN Sunday Night Baseball. We are in St. Louis, Missouri, in the shadow of the famed Gateway Arch. This is Busch Stadium, home of the Cardinals and their passionate red-clad fans. Tonight, the rubber match of the series, the Mets and Cardinals, after yesterday's 20-inning epic. Both of yesterday's starting pitchers, the veteran Johan Santana of the Mets and the rookie Jaime Garcia of the Cardinals, each pitched 7 strong, but both would be long gone before this one was decided. In the 10th inning, with the bases loaded, Alex Cora went into the stands. A spectacular play to end the Cardinals' threat. Then as day became night in the 14th, Takahashi on in relief. He struck out 2, but then walked Albert Pujols to load the bases. To get to the pitcher, Blake Hawksworth struck him out. In the 16th, Ryan Ludwig tried to score from second on a potential double play ball. Big mistake. Jose Reyes threw him out easily. Inning over. Frustration mounting for manager Tony La Russa. In the 19th, outfielder Joe Mather in relief. Jeff Francoeur hit this sacrifice fly, and Reyes in to score the first run of the game. In the last of the 19th, K-Rod, the veteran closer, and Ludwig caught stealing with Pujols at the plate. But then Pujols would hit this double to left center. The Cardinals still breathing. And with 2 down, he was at third and scored as Yadier Molina came through in the clutch. 1-1 on to the 20th inning. The Mets still facing the outfielder, Mather on the mound. Scratched out another run. This time it was Reyes with the sacrifice fly. Last of the 20th, starting pitcher Mike Pelfrey, his first career save. Game over at long last. The Mets won a wild one, 2-1 in 20 innings. Well, it's a night later, and everybody, I'm sure, slept well. We've got Sunday Night Baseball presented by Taco Bell. Mets and Cardinals the next day. And this is the rubber match of the series. And the Cardinal fans are out in force as they try and cheer the hometown team to victory after their disappointing loss here last night. Hello, everyone. I'm John Miller, along with the great right-hander, Orel Hershiser, and the Hall of Fame second baseman, Joe Morgan. Welcome to Sunday Night Baseball. One thing we know for sure, Felipe Lopez, Joe Mather, they will not be pitching in this ball game. They need a couple days off, or maybe a few years off before they pitch in another game. It was a remarkable game here yesterday and into late last night. A disappointing loss for the Cardinals, who had so many chances to win. But, Joe, an important win for Jerry Manuel's Mets, who've been off to a very slow start.
Well, John, because they're off to a slow start, I think it was more important to win because it would have been a devastating loss. Forget about the win. The loss would have hurt a lot more. And it would have hurt them because they've identified their problem as starting pitching. And they had a great starting pitching job on Thursday from Pelfrey. They won. Or Oliver Perez pitched great on Friday here. They didn't win. And yesterday, Santana had a pitch shut the Cardinals out for 7 innings. And if they wouldn't have won yesterday's ball game, I think it would have been devastating to waste those starting pitching jobs. And I think the Mets played it like they were trying to win every single game, like it was important. And Tony La Russa, on the other hand, played it like it was just one of 162, which he has the luxury of doing because they're off to a good start. And he also knows that he has great starting pitching. And that's why he ended up with the position players pitching a couple of times and one of them getting a loss. That's the difference in yesterday's ball game. Jerry Manuel had to win. Tony La Russa knows that he's way ahead of the game.
So, tonight, the rubber match of the series, and despite yesterday's marathon, the Cardinals have all their regulars in there, including the great slugger, Albert Pujols, and remarkably, the catcher, Yadier Molina, who caught all 20 innings last night. Now, Orel, he'll be working tonight with one of the Cardinals' great aces, right-hander Adam Wainwright.
Yeah, the ace may be Chris Carpenter, but ace 1A is Adam Wainwright. Of the 18 possible innings he could have pitched this year in his 2 starts, he's thrown 15 of them, so he can rest the bullpen. And you know what? Between Carpenter and Wainwright, 36 wins over the last 2 years, the most of any combo. But tonight, Wainwright grew up in Brunswick, Georgia, a fan of Greg Maddux, his precision, and then John Smoltz, his power. An outstanding curveball, this young man, and he will throw it with precision and get people out. The Cardinals are in very good hands if they need an inning eater and an ace on the mound tonight.
So, Wainwright for the Cardinals in the rubber match. John Maine will be going for the Mets, trying to stay alive in the rotation. He needs a good one. Adam Wainwright is just about ready to head in from the bullpen. and to face the New York Mets and get this ball game started. Wainwright, a 19-game winner last year. Jose Reyes will be in the leadoff spot for the Mets as usual. David Wright coming up third when we come back. Busch Stadium in St. Louis, it's not completely filled up on this Sunday night. You're in the middle of April, but a big crowd nonetheless as the Cardinals trying to regroup after a 20-inning loss yesterday. And the Mets, they came out a winner. There's Jerry Manuel, the skipper of the Mets. His third season as Mets manager. Last year was his first full season as Mets manager. And let's take a look at Jerry Manuel's Mets lineup. And presented by Taco Bell. Jose Reyes leads off at shortstop. Then Alex Cora at second base. David Wright, third base. Frank Catalanato, maybe for the first time in his career, hitting cleanup at first base. Jeff Francoeur in right field. Hitless last night. Gary Matthews in center field. Gary Matthews Jr. Rod Barajas, the catcher, hitting seventh. Angel Pagan in left field, hitting eighth. And John Maine is the starting pitcher. He's had two very poor starts and needs a good one.
Well, at the top of the order, Jose Reyes. He was out a total of 11 months, believe it or not. Came back April 10th this year. The speed of the game. Last year it was the legs. This year the thyroid problem in spring training. But him at the top of this order is the catalyst. But he's struggling right now. The speed of the game and just getting his timing back.
Cardinals take the field, including Adam Wainwright, the Cardinals starter, out to the mound.
And Johnny's won his first 2 starts so far this year. He's pitched 15 of a possible 18 innings that he could have pitched. And last year, he didn't win the Cy Young Award. He finished 3rd, but he had the most first-place votes. He led the league in wins with 19. He had 233 innings pitched, which was a winner, also led the league. He also won a Gold Glove, struck out over 200. So he had an excellent season last year, and he's picked up this year right where he left off last year. He is a dominant pitcher.
And the Cardinals behind Adam Wainwright, set up this way. It will be Holiday in left, Rasmus in center, and Ludwig in right field. Holiday, who left the game yesterday and missed the game entirely on Friday because of illness, still recovering. Rookie David Freese at third, Brendan Ryan at shortstop. And on the right side of the infield, Skip Schumacher at second, and Gold Glover Albert Pujols at first base, and another Gold Glover, Yadier Molina. He's won 2 defensive Gold Gloves. And Molina went all 20 innings, and I don't know if a catcher has ever pitched 20 innings or caught 20 innings in one game and then came back the next day. But we have looked into it and found out that Darren Dalton did it with the 1993 Phillies, a team that went to the World Series. An Ironman performance. Tony La Russa went to Yadier Molina and said, "How are you feeling?" And he said, "I'm ready to go. Don't even ask me. I'm fine."
The tools of ignorance are now the tools of endurance.
And I think it inspired his teammates. They all one by one in the clubhouse went by and took a look at the lineup card and looked for Yadier's name. They saw it and they were all kind of nodded like, "Wow, okay,
well,
let's
that
go."
Is a big wow.
Ball 1 to Jose Reyes, and we are underway. Reyes, 26 years old, missed almost all of last year and the early part of this season with the thyroid condition that was diagnosed during spring training. And Jerry Manuel says he's still trying to find his legs. He doesn't have the speed that you'll anticipate from him, perhaps a little bit later on. It wasn't just that he missed a lot of spring training. He couldn't do any kind of workouts at all. He just had to sit and wait it out and then start the workout process almost from scratch. That's in for a strike.
Well, he hasn't been running even when he was in spring training. He said that he took off one day and he thought second base was as far as he'd run to go to left field.
That is playable for Freese in foul ground and one away. So Wainwright fell behind in the count and then got Jose Reyes. If you're going to beat the Mets, a good way to start is keep Reyes off the base paths.
Well, I think that shows a little bit of his rustiness right there, John. He had a 3-1 pitch, and he was late on it. And Jose Reyes is a very good fastball hitter, especially down, when he's on his game.
So Reyes is retired, and here is Alex Cora. The Mets are still very much a work in progress right now, with Reyes trying to get himself back into shape as Cora lofts one into shallow left. Ryan out, Holiday in. It is Holiday. Cora gone on one pitch, 2 down. But they are still missing their everyday center fielder, Carlos Beltran. They're hoping maybe he'll be back by mid-May. And Reyes is still not quite himself. Castillo's out of the lineup tonight. He's a guy, a veteran, who needed a little bit of a breather, and he has some knee issues. In fact, the last we saw of him last night, he was limping off the field. Here is David Wright. But the Mets don't, at the same time, want to get buried, but before they get all of their team actually assembled, is David Wright with a swinging strike 1.
That's why I thought yesterday's game was so important to the Mets, not to waste those 2 pitching performances they've had here in St. Louis and not come away with at least 1 victory in those 2 games. Plus, they're also in a situation where they've lost every series so far this season. And this is the first, they have a chance now of breaking that streak.
0-2 the count to David Wright.
This is the rubber game of the 3-game series.
And that fastball is fouled away. And Oral, you mentioned Adam Wainwright and that curveball. The one strike pitch was the big hook for strike 2.
That was definitely a hammer. This is more like Adam Wainwright here. That 3-0 count to Jose Reyes was only the second time in 55 batters that he went to a 3-0 count that he's faced this year.
There's the curve. Ryan was playing him in the hole at short. And that is the inning. A 10-pitch, 3-up, 3-down inning for Adam Wainwright. Now the Cardinals are coming up with Schumacher, Ludwig, and Albert Pujols. Order by Adam Wainwright, Tony La Russa, alongside the new Cardinals hitting instructor, Mark McGuire, whom Tony thought could be a great hitting instructor. So here he is. The Cardinals batting order presented by Taco Bell. Skip Schumacher at second base, leading off. Ryan Ludwig, powerful number 2 hitter in right field. Then Albert Pujols off to a great start this year, first base. Matt Holliday, he's been slumping all week. Then he had a bout of flu-like symptoms anyway. It'll be Colby Rasmus in center. Yadier Molina is the catcher. Then David Freese, the rookie, hits 7th and 3rd. Brendan Ryan at short, and Adam Wainwright, the pitcher.
And John, you mentioned that Holliday has been struggling. He's 0 for 16 as he steps in his first at bat tonight. But remember, last Sunday, he hit a game-tying 2-out home run in the top of the 9th inning in Milwaukee.
Hasn't had a hit since.
Yeah.
And there's ball 1 to Skip Schumacher from John Maine. And this is a big night for John Maine, Oral.
ERA 13.50. John Maine's problem so far this year is the velocity is down. In his big year, he throws about 92 to 93. He's down about 86, 87. He's been too much in the middle of the plate. About 11% of his pitches have been right down the middle, and the Major League average is around 4%.
That is off the left field line, out of play.
That one right there. It's just a fastball right down the middle.
But, John, the interesting thing, Oral, is that all the Mets starters, their velocity is down. And Dan Warthen thinks that he may know why, but all of the velocity is down. Santana's down, Perez is down, and, of course, you mentioned Maine's down, Pelfrey. All their starters' velocity is down. Warthen said that he thinks it could be because they had an emphasis on throwing strikes in spring training. And maybe the guys took a little bit off to throw strikes in spring training, and now he wants them to put it back on.
In a hurry.
Yeah, but that hasn't happened so far.
And Warthen, the Mets pitching coach, as Schumacher skies one to center field. And there is Gary Matthews Jr. 89-mile-an-hour fastball and 1 away.
Well, all the guys were down in the 80s, and we saw 90-mile-an-hour there from Maine, but most of them were throwing in the 85 to 88 range, and he felt like, they needed to get more velocity. And in Maine, when he had a good year, a couple of years ago, he could throw the fastball, like you say, missing the plate, but he had such velocity and good movement, he could get away with it. Now, his ball is doesn't have as much movement, and he's not throwing as hard.
Ryan Ludwig, who had a huge year, that was 92 miles an hour, that fastball, so that's got to be a good sign if you're Jerry Manuel or pitching coach Dan Worthen, or especially if you're John Maine.
I don't know if that was a good sign or not, John. It bounced.
Oh, now you want not just
I want accuracy with that speed. Right, okay.
Ball 2. Well,
but you're right. I mean, both that pitch was 92. The previous pitch, first pitch was 92. That one's 90. So, I mean,
and so it's 2-0.
But that's a good sign, like you said, that he has the velocity.
Well, let's see if he's right down the middle with this one. Fastball for a strike.
89, got the strike. Lost 3 miles an hour from the original pitch. But, you know, the key is not only the velocity, but like Joe says, the location. They've been trying to get the ball down. He's a fly ball pitcher. Fly balls are doubles and home runs, where low pitches are ground balls, and those, you know, max on a ground ball is usually a double.
Well, I'd say that last one, try to do that one several times. Right at the knees, right on the outside. Doug Eddings, the home plate umpire.
I hope we're not going to critique every pitch he throws tonight.
2-2 the count. You mean for the umpiring? Look at that.
Man.
Where was that one?
You know what's amazing to me is that the hitters can take such close pitches now. They have such confidence in the hit and the umpires not calling those pitches strikes. I mean, Kazon says it was a strike.
Right on the edge. 3-2. And he fouled it.
As a pitcher, I want K-zone. As a hitter, you want the umpire right there.
Well, but, I mean, do you trust the umpire on a pitch that close? That's what I don't understand. You trust him to say that, okay, that ball's a half inch off the outside corner? That's one of the reasons I said last week about speeding up the game. Guys not taking pitches right on the edge.
On the move, Gary Matthews. He's going to have to chase this one. Ludwig will pull up at second with a stand-up double in front of Albert Pujols.
So he gets a double after taking a close pitch. Maybe that's why they take the close pitches.
I'm with you, though. You're getting a reward for taking a pitch that really you've been taught your whole life you should be swinging at with 2 strikes.
With 2 strikes. And it's even more devastating when Albert Pujols is the next hitter.
So here is Albert, and look at his numbers against John Maine. Only 11 at-bats, but a lot of damage for 11 at-bats. 2 homers, 11 RBIs against him. First base is open. And that's a called strike. Before the ball game, they had ceremonies here, and Albert Pujols was presented with some more hardware of his excellence, the MVP award, and the Louisville Silver Slugger Award, emblematic of the best hitter at a position, in Albert's case, first base. Matthews will get to this one, and Ludwig will go back to second. Albert clobbered that one, but I get a little bit over the top of it.
Well, a good job, truthfully, by Maine, keeping him in the middle of the field. I mean, he didn't pull it. If he pulls that ball, it's probably an extra base hit.
Yeah, hitting 455 off of John Maine. John showed confidence in his fastball, went right after Albert. Albert only sees 45% first pitch strikes. That's the lowest in the big leagues. So John Maine went right after him.
So 2 down. Ludwig still at second. Here is Matt Holliday. No hits since his 9th inning home run on Sunday Night Baseball last week, and the longest hitless streak of his career. And he takes strike 1. He was taken out of the game yesterday, which created some problems for the Cardinals several times in the extra innings. And the Russa took him out because he just was in a weakened state, having missed the game the night before with a high fever. And that changeup low and outside for a ball, 1-1. And so La Russa made a double switch, and Holliday left the game in the 11th inning. He just thought, well, I think that enough's enough. And Holliday told him he was available to play the game yesterday, but he was in a weakened state and did not get anything done offensively. And that is outside to Matt Holliday. 2-1 the count. Holliday, for the season, hitting .262, even though he's gone 0 for his last 16. And he has 3 home runs. His ops is above 800. I'm not into OPS. I like to call it ops.
Okay.
It's a little shorthand, the OPS.
Ops.
Yeah. I'm not into the whip, but I'm into the ops.
What do you call on base?
Oh, whip. I don't call it whip. I call it WHIP. 3-1 the count to Holiday. Rasmus, a left-handed hitter on deck, and there's that pitcher's strike.
The strike zone right now from both benches they'll be talking about, the plate is on roller skates, meaning they're not real sure where the edges are yet, and it keeps kind of moving on them. K-zone calls that one a ball. That Holiday head is a ball.
Well, the question is, would you call that a strike with 2 strikes? That's where I'm having the problem.
Well, from what we've seen so far tonight, no. Base hit to right field. Ludwig heading home. Here comes the throw from Francoeur, and he is out.
And that's Jeff Francoeur at his best, John. He comes up, fires a strike to the plate. Nice tag there by Rod Barajas. Barajas was waiting for him, and just a nice play there by Jeff Francoeur.
Francoeur leads the league in outfield assists year after year. One of the best arms in the game. John Miller with Joe Morgan and Oral Hershiser. Inning number 2, the cleanup hitter. For the first time in his major league career, Frank Catalanato. The Mets did a little roster move after the 20-inning game here last night. There's a ball inside. 1 ball and 1 strike. See how they're playing him defensively.
Very shallow for a number 4 hitter, but Catalanato not that type of number 4 hitter with power.
He's been a very good hitter, but especially against right-handed pitching. 2-1 the count as he took that changeup low. As we mentioned, his first career start as a cleanup hitter. That changeup. There's Ryan from left field, off the bag, and Albert will chase that one down, but holding it first is Catalanato with an infield hit.
John, sometimes a guy leads the league in outfield assists not because he has a great arm, but because everyone runs on him. But when you have Jeff Francoeur out there in the outfield, it's because he throws so well, and they do not test him as much as people think. Perfect position, 1 hop, got rid of it quickly all the way in the air, and he's out. But a nice tag there by Barajas, because that's not an easy play to make. You got to catch it and then find the runner, and he did a good job of both.
Francoeur with 72 assists from the outfield since he began in 2005, the most in Major League Baseball. So he's averaged about 14 per season. He's got 2 already this year. even though teams don't like to run against him. This is the 12th game of the year. He nailed a Washington National last Sunday.
Well, you had to send him with 2 outs, and that's what happens a lot of times. That's when he gets a chance to throw guys out.
Now, Francoeur has also been hitting well as he stands in here. He was hitting well until the eternal game of yesterday and last evening. 381 batting average, still 5th best in the league. He was 0 for 7 last night. He had been 16 for 35 the first 10 games of the year. And that slider is popped up, foul, and back out of play off to the right.
He's a very aggressive hitter. He very rarely walks. He's getting more walks this year. He's kind of his marching cry this year is to be aggressive, but to be aggressive in the strike zone. You see that 3.6 walk percentage, the 4th lowest in Major League Baseball. That was last year. This year, starting to build his walk total.
Curveball down and away, and it's 3-1. Gary Matthews Jr. is on deck. The Mets trying to get something going here. They've had some disappointing losses this week, as Joe pointed out in the open of the telecast, where they've gotten strong pitching and still did not win. And that is ball 4. So Francoeur, are you kidding me? Francoeur's getting a walk.
And John, you're talking about the pitching staff. Unlike the Cardinals, who have excellent starting pitching, the Mets have identified that as their problem. And this week they got, well, Thursday they got a great pitching job from Mike Pelfrey, and they won. On Friday night here, Oliver Perez pitched great, and they lost. Yesterday, Johan Santana was pitching great, and that's why I said it would have been a devastating loss for the Mets if they didn't win, but they were able to come back and win. You can't waste those kind of pitching jobs if you're the Mets.
Here's Matthews Jr. Right up the middle. He hit that first pitch, curveball. And to third and holding is Catalanado. The throw comes in from the center fielder Rasmus, cut off by Albert Pujols, and the bases are loaded.
It's not a good read from second base there by Catalanado, because when a ball is hit to center field, very rarely do you see guys thrown out on base hits to center field. You see them thrown out, as we saw with Jeff Francoeur, to right field and to left field because it's a shorter throw. But it's such a long throw in center field that normally a guy at second base should have been able to score on a single to center field. Although the ball is charged well, but you always want to make him make that long throw from center field. And if you're the Mets, they haven't been scoring a lot of runs, so you better not waste those opportunities.
Hey, they scored 1 run in each of the last 2 innings just last night.
Yeah.
They didn't score any of the first 18 innings. This is Rod Barajas, new Mets catcher this year. Takes a called strike on a slider, and it is 0-1. Barajas hit 17 home runs last year, but a real free swinger, almost never walks. And look what the Mets, you talk about their problems scoring runs, as a team hitting 163. Hitting is the wrong word for it. Not hitting with runners in scoring position at all. And the curve fouled back to the screen, and the count is 0-2.
You know, Joe, going back to that play with the ball to center field, don't you think with no outs, that's probably why Chip Hale held him up, where they pressed the runner with the Cardinals with 2 outs on Francoeur. They're going to set the table.
With 2 outs, you have to send him. I'm just saying that when you have a chance to score a run, you have to take it. And I just believe that there you should be able to score a run. Who knows?
Like
Francoeur might have gone to third if they throw the ball to the plate.
Bases loaded, nobody out. The infield double play depth, and that curveball hit high in the air. Shallow left center. Brendan Ryan is out. He makes the catch. And back to third goes Catalanado.
Always remember the other thing. You're at the bottom of the batting order. Now, if your third place hitter is going to be coming up with the bases loaded, that's different. But you're at the bottom of the batting order.
Yeah, I wasn't disagreeing with you at all. I was just kind of trying to point it out to the audience. I think that there was a difference in the situation because we had a no-out situation and a 2-out situation.
2 outs, you're always going to send them. You're right. That's why I say Francoeur gets a lot of assists, because they have to run, not because they want to. With 2 outs and a base hit, you're just about always going to send the guy to the plate.
Angel Pagan, the hitter now, looking for that hit. Now a double play would end the inning. A moment ago, the Cardinals were willing to give away a run to get a double play ball. And that one, a called strike. Pagan hit 306 last year. And also, like just about every Met, had injury problems, and he ended up playing in only 88 games. Pagan with 2 RBIs so far this year, 30 at bats, and he is quickly behind to the count, 0-2.
Well, you have to look at it this way as well. If Pagan doesn't get him in, you have John Maine, the pitcher, up next. So
exactly. And here's a count right now that you will go for the strikeout as a pitcher. Early in the count, I'd trade an out for a run with the pitcher on deck, get away from the crooked number. But now at 0-2, you're going to look for that punch out. You're going to look for a way to get out of this inning with 0 runs.
Mets have not had a hit with the bases loaded, as you saw there a moment ago, all year. The big curve in the dirt, blocked by Yadier Molina, one of the best defensive catchers in the game. 1-2 now. Yadi is going to go out and speak to Adam Wainwright. Bases loaded. Now, this kind of a scenario did not exist for the Mets for most of that 20-inning game yesterday and into last night. They didn't get a man even as far as second base till late in the game, much less third base.
It was the Cardinals that were leaving people on and really not winning the ball game. The Mets were just surviving, and fortunately hold on long enough for them.
The 2 runs the Mets did score, each scored on fly balls, 2 sacrifice flies for their only runs. Good enough to win. Now the curve again in the dirt and again taken by Pagan.
Just great confidence from Adam Wainwright and his catcher Yadier Molina. Yadier taking 2 breaking balls with the bases loaded, the pitcher on deck, and it just keeps your whole repertoire in play as a pitcher when you have confidence in your catcher that he can block that ball. You don't have to just default to your slider, which is one you're not really going to bounce as much as your curveball.
All right, does he go to the curve again?
I think he's going to go high fast. He started him off with a fastball in, looking to jam him. He can go curveball or back inside.
That one is a base hit into right field. Catalanado scores. Francoeur is going to try to score, and 2 runs are in. Now back to first base, and the throw goes down the right field line from Wainwright. And this has turned into a disaster. Matthews scores, and the man who hit the ball to the first place, Pagan, ends up all the way at third on what started out as a base running mistake by Pagan. He had gone halfway to second with Matthews standing at second there. And then as he tried to get back to first, Wainwright made the throw and threw it away.
Well, that's the point I was making. When you have runners in motion and you make them throw the ball around, anything can happen. That's why I said Francoeur could have gone to third if Catalanado would have scored. And this is what happens. Francoeur hustles in and he scores. Now they end up with Pagan at third base and 3 runs in. When you're a team like the Mets, I think you just have to take advantage of every opportunity that you have to score runs.
Now the Cardinals bring the infield in right at the last moment. It started off backed up, and just as Wainwright came to the set position, then they came rushing in. 3 runs in, a base hit by Pagan, and not only 2 runs, but still more came in to score as the ball was being thrown all around the ballpark. Wainwright, who was a Gold Glove winner last year, who fields his position well, but a play that he probably didn't get called on to make that often.
Yeah, it's the perspective when you're back there, and then he had 2 targets. Albert Pujols was going back to the bag, and the right fielder, Brian Ludwig, was coming in. I don't think he really picked up his target and didn't commit to the throw. And really made the worst throw possible, the high one. It's better to throw that bounce throw like the shortstop throws from the hole, or the third baseman throws on a backhand. And he just doesn't commit to it. And you see, when he drops his elbow and throws a catapult like that, that's just not committing to your target. Not sure you should even have thrown it.
And he gets the strikeout on the pitcher, John Maine. Leadoff man, Jose Reyes, coming up. John Maine, who hit 148 last year, although a lifetime 103 big league hitter. Now a guy who's considerably better as a big league hitter, Jose Reyes, coming up. But Reyes has not hit well so far this year. 6 hits in 36 at bats.
Hard to miss spring training and just jump in against major league pitchers.
Runner at third. And the changeup in the dirt, blocked by Yadier Molina.
He missed most of spring training, and then he just had stayed in Florida, but he wasn't facing major league pitching. And then all of a sudden, you're in the big leagues, and it's very difficult to adjust to these big league pitchers. It's going to take him a while to get comfortable in the batter's box.
And a pop-up. It's just like his first inning at bat, and David Freese, just as in the first, catches this one to end the inning. But a 2-run single by Pagan plus a throwing error. It's a 3-run inning for the Mets after 1.5. Night baseball. The big crowd at Busch Stadium to see the Cardinals and the Mets in the rubber match of the series. And the Mets have a 3-0 lead. Ball fouled away by Colby Rasmus. Game 1 of this series on Friday night. The Mets at one point were ahead, and then a grand slam hit by Felipe Lopez that turned that game around in the 7th inning against the Mets bullpen. The only scoring by the Cardinals in that game. And here is Rasmus, who, like his teammate Matt Holliday, is really struggling right now. In fact, last week at this time on Sunday Night Baseball at Milwaukee, we were talking about what a fine start Rasmus had. But the hits have been scarce for him here lately. And that is fouled away.
He's 0 for 15, where Holliday was 0 for 16.
Man, this game got turned around in a hurry. Jeff Rancourt throwing out Ludwig after Holliday's single to end the first inning. And then Pagan got the big hit with the bases loaded. That hit the Mets have so often been lacking this year. That's foul. He hit it hard, but fouled on the right field line.
Yeah, that Pagan at bat was a key at bat for sure. The way that he went the sequence, he did a great job keeping that bat alive from an 0-2 count.
2-2 the count to Rasmus. Yeah, remember, Wainwright was ahead of him 0-2 to begin the sequence. And then those 2 curveballs in the dirt. We were talking about, well, what pitch to throw next after the curveballs did not get him there.
Well, Angel is the guy that if Jerry Manuel moves Jose Reyes to the 3-hole, once Jose is comfortable and back in the game, Jerry has plans to put Angel Pagan at the top of the order and Jose Reyes in the 3-hole, maybe to wake up some of this Met offense.
There's a slider, and John Maine strikes out Colby Rasmus. Now we're going to go to Steve Berthiaume in the studio for a Sports Center right now.
Well, I picked him to be Rookie of the Year, John. Who was your Rookie of the Year?
You and everybody else in America.
I didn't stop there. I picked him for MVP too.
That's a strike on the outside to Yadier Molina. 1 ball and 1 strike. Molina, who's become an outstanding clutch hitter. A guy who puts up big numbers, but Tony La Russa talks about how other managers, coaches, scouts will tell him, he said, man, that in a clutch spot, he's as tough as there is. We pitch him just like he's Albert Pujols. And indeed, last night in the 19th inning, down by a run with 2 down, Albert at third, it was Molina against the Mets closer. Frankie Rodriguez got the base hit to tie that game up.
I think his overall stats are going to get better. He's getting more disciplined, more attacking the ball in the strike zone. He has great eye-hand coordination, and some young hitters, at times when they have that, Joe, they go outside the strike zone because they have so much confidence in their ability. If he zones in, that's when we're going to see him at his best.
What's great about him, he's living up to what his brother said. Jose and Benji said that Yadier was going to be the best of the group, and he may end up being that way, being the best player of the 3.
Strike 3 call.
Wasn't anybody on base.
Well, he didn't like that call with 2 strikes. And he has a few words with Doug Eddings. Monday Night Baseball tomorrow night, presented by Sears, Lawn and Garden. It's on ESPN at 7 Eastern, 6 Central. The Cubs and the Mets from Citi Field in New York. Wednesday Night Baseball, presented by Captain Morgan, meanwhile, on ESPN at 7 Eastern. Phillies and the Braves. Tomorrow night, Randy Wells for the Cubs against John Neese and the Mets. Wednesday, Jay Happ for the Phillies up against Tim Hudson. Hudson, the veteran, is healthy again and pitching extremely well for Bobby Cox early on this year.
Says the best his elbows felt, so he's got a lot of bite on his slider and his split finger.
David Freese, rookie third baseman, fouls one back out of play. Third base was a huge problem for the Cardinals last year. They lost Troy Gloss to injury, missed the year, and nobody was able to plug that gap. They just got no production out of third base. But Freese off to a fine start. Back to the screen. He's hitting .355, and he has been especially good with runners in scoring position. He's had 5 hits in 6 at bats with a runner at second or third or both. Freese has been your man. 1-2 the count. Nobody on base here. John Maine, perhaps pitching for his spot in the rotation. Oh, and he got it. Drilled it.
Yeah, John Maine's been throwing a lot of pitches in the middle in his first 2 starts. A 13.50 ERA, but he's had good location other than that hit batter right there. And check out this fastball to Molina he struck him out on. That is a pitcher's pitch, low and away. At 90 miles an hour. Yadier didn't like it, but K-Zone liked it, and so did Doug Eddings.
Well, there was an earlier 2-strike count on which he did not make that call. And maybe that was what Yadier Molina was complaining about. Here is Brendan Ryan, the 8th place hitter. Nice save there by Rod Barajas with the pitcher up next.
You know, we hear a lot of times players say, well, we just want the guy to be consistent. You know, if he's going to call that pitch a ball, then keep calling it a ball. I don't believe in that. I believe that get it right. That's the way I believe. If you make a mistake on the first one, you don't have to make that same mistake again.
Just off the outside. 2-0 to Brendan Ryan. 3-0. The Mets are leading there. Yadier Molina, who was called out on strikes and expressed his displeasure to Eddings. Brendan Ryan at 292 last year. Became an everyday player. He does a pretty good job at shortstop too, but he is struggling to get it going so far this year. He has 4 hits in 31 at bats. That is a strike on the outside. 2-1.
Brian, we saw Yadier sitting there drinking some, it looked like some Gatorade or something. I can't imagine catching 20 innings.
Yeah.
The up and down that it takes in a ball game, you know, and running around and doing everything else you have to do. Backing up first base on throws, you know, so he has to do all of that and then catch 20 innings, and now he's out here again tonight. I just can't imagine that happening. And I mean, Darren Dalton obviously did it in 1993, but I can't imagine him doing it either.
It's one thing for the weekend warriors, the guys who go out and play on the weekend in their adult leagues or different things, and then they get 5 days off till the next Saturday. But here the guy is out the next day.
Right. Well, what inning was it last night that he made an absolutely perfect throw to gun down David Wright trying to steal a bag? He'd already caught 16, 17, 18 innings when he got David Wright trying to steal a base with just a perfect throw. And now it's 3-2 to Brendan Ryan.
That's a big pitch right there, because now you get the runner in motion. A double can score him. Always a 2-2 pitch with 2 outs is a key pitch for a pitcher to get in the strike zone. A completely different defense, completely different situation. It changes dramatically when you get to 3-2.
Freeze running, and that ball is fouled out of play.
You lose the force out at second base in the infield. You lose the fact that a double will not score the runner from first, probably. You also limit your pitch selections and your repertoire. So 2-2 was always a key pitch for me with 2 outs.
Well, you take all the doubt out of the hitter's mind about what's coming. Right here, he knows he's going to throw him a fastball because he also has a 3-run lead.
There goes Freeze. That's into right center field, a base hit. Matthews cuts it off. As Freeze goes round to third.
There's some doubt in his mind, 2-2, like you said, that what you're going to throw. With 3-2, there's no doubt in his mind.
So now Adam Wainwright will come up. Hey, we were talking about Yadier Molina catching tonight after catching 20 innings last night, and it was the 17th inning last night where he made a perfect throw to get David Wright in a big spot in the game.
And a tough pitch to throw on, John. That was a breaking ball down. And if he throws this ball anywhere else, up, to the right, a little bit to the left, he's safe. Very difficult pitch to throw on that low breaking ball.
Much less to throw perfectly. And there's a ball to Adam Wainwright, who's trying to help himself out here. His club is trailing 3-0. Wainwright has 1 hit, 6 at bats so far this year.
But he's also a good hitter. I mean, for a pitcher.
Well, you see that at 242 lifetime average.
Anything over 200 for a starting pitcher is like 300 for a regular player. If he hits 200, that's like the regular hitting 300.
This is like
have the same at bats, etc.
I like this.
It's like dog years.
Well, I don't know about all that, but over the course of my career, that's one of the things I've learned. That it's like hitting. I mean, you're only batting once in a while, and they hit 200.
It's true. You get 4 at bats if you pitch a complete game. In those 4 at bats, if you went 7 to 9 innings, you're called on usually 2 or 3 of them to sacrifice. So really, you're hitting once every 5 days off a big league pitcher,
right?
And 1 at bat sometimes.
First and third, 2 down, and a save by Barajas.
Well, he's pitching him like he can hit. That was a changeup. Well,
he knows that 242 average. In pitcher's terms, he's just like facing Ichiro here. You got to be right. That's 342. Isn't that the way you?
No. I said like hitting 300, not 340. There's a big difference in 300 and 340.
He said you had 100 points from 200 to 300, so he took 242 and made it 342.
He's not a 200 hitter. He's a 242 hitter.
There's a big difference between hitting 300 and 340.
Blew a fastball right by him. Oh, he hits like a pitcher. 28 pitch inning for John Maine, but no runs on the board. Cora, then David Wright coming up for the Mets.
The most 3G coverage.
The Mets and the Cardinals have faced each other many times with a pennant on the line. The Mets clinched their pennant in 1969, beating the Cardinals at Shea Stadium. Joe Torre grounded into a game-ending double play in 2000. The Mets beat the Cardinals 4-1 in the league championship series. In 2006, of course, it was Adam Wainwright striking out Carlos Beltran with the bases loaded, and that sent the Cardinals to the World Series. In 06, a shocking finish. The Mets were a heavy favorite. And a lot of things have gone downhill for the Mets, starting with that moment. Adam Wainwright, who was the closer in that postseason, and this is his first appearance against the Mets since that game in the regular season, which is hard to believe it, except they're in separate divisions. They don't play each other that often. And there is ball one to Alex Cora, leading off, the second place hitter. Castillo getting the night off. David Wright on deck, and then Frank Catalanato due up third in the inning. The Mets with a 3-run second and leading 3-0 over Wainwright and the Cardinals. Cora flied out to shallow left his first time. At second base, Schumacher from the outfield grass, and there is one away. We're talking about the last time Wainwright faced the Mets and struck out Beltran in Game 7 on 3 pitches in 06, and that was that big curveball, and the Cardinals won the National League pennant over Willie Randolph's New York Mets.
And that's when Wainwright was a closer.
Jason Isringhausen had been the closer, and he was hurt. And Wainwright was a young guy pressed into service and did, as you saw there, a great job of it. Here's David Wright. High pop-up, shallow right. Pujols going down the line. Took his hat off, and not quite.
Even though David Wright is late on this pitch, John, I don't see the same velocity of pop from Wainwright that I saw earlier in the year. You see Albert takes his hat off, and he's getting close to the tarp. I think if you're Tony La Russa, you're saying stop, stop, stop. You don't want him to get hurt running into the tarp or into the stands. That's just a foul ball. So you let it go. He gave it a good effort, but you do not want him to get injured.
And that is going to go back out of play. A little cutter or a slider. And the count is 0-2 now to David Wright. Well, you say Tony La Russa didn't want him to get hurt. Cardinal fans don't want him to get hurt.
Right.
I don't want him to get hurt.
Exactly.
And Albert Pujols, one of the great players in the game today. A curveball. One hop. Brendan Ryan in the shallow outfield. Slings it in the dirt. Scooped out by a very healthy Albert Pujols. 2 down. Now Frank Catalanato, the cleanup man, will come up. Willie Mays, one of the greatest players ever to play the game, was told by his dad early on when he was a player, he says, do not get hurt. Don't go crashing into walls. What good are you to yourself or your team if you're hurt and you can't play? And Willie Mays almost never got hurt in 23 Hall of Fame years. Catalanato, who singled his first time, fouls out to freeze. A 7-pitch inning for Wainwright. Pujols will be coming up third, top of the order for the Cardinals. Baseball presented by Taco Bell. On a cool, refreshing evening in St. Louis from Busch Stadium, the Mets and Cardinals on Sunday Night Baseball. I'm John Miller with Joe Morgan and Oral Hershiser, your Sunday night telecasters. Skip Schumacher taking a strike from John Maine. Maine and the Mets out in front 3-0 as that ball is out of play off the left field line. By the way, because it could well be Benji Molina is watching, catcher with the Giants. Jose Molina could be watching, catcher with the Blue Jays. Yadier Molina, their brother, is the man who caught that pop-up off the bat of Catalanado, not Freeze. I don't know which one of us said it was Freeze, but that was just me. Completely wrong.
I got one of those wasn't watching on here.
Well, apparently I wasn't either.
I said Phil Rizzuto wasn't watching WW.
Bill White had been away for an inning and asked Phil Rizzuto when he got back to the booth and said, Scooter, let me just catch up with my scorebook from your scorebook for a second. And he got, ground ball to short, fly ball to left, and then he had a WW. And he said, Scooter, what is WW? What that guy said? Oh, I wasn't watching. Swing and a miss. Schumacher is down, and there is one away. Ryan Ludwig coming up next.
John, this is the point when I talked to Jerry Manuel. He said he starts to really watch Maine closely. He said he seems to be able to get through the first couple of innings, but then 3, 4, 5 is where he's been having his problems. So it'd be interesting to see if his velocity goes down even more.
When you're not attacking the strike zone the second time around the orders, when the hitters can catch up to you. So you got to have more than one pitch to get through the order.
Here's Ludwig, who hit a double his first time. Maine is on quite the roll right now. Look at that changeup. Fooled him badly. He has each of the last 4 outs he's recorded have been on strikeouts, including Schumacher in this inning.
A little changeup to see how far out in front Ludwig is. I'll tell you, if you have one big league pitch, you can compete. 2, you can win. If you have all 3 in one night, you can dominate. And that's when you really have the hitters in your back pocket. Right now, the first couple innings, John was kind of on a tightrope. They were hitting him pretty hard. He only had command of his fastball. But now he's proving to the hitters that he can use his off-speed pitch whenever he wants.
He's also getting a lot of support from his teammates in this game. A run might have scored the very first inning, but Frank Coeur rode to the rescue, throwing out Ludwig, trying to score at the plate.
Well, John, I think he's looked at the fact that Mike Peltry pitched great on Thursday. Oliver Perez pitched great on Friday. Johan Santana pitched great yesterday. He's just trying to follow suit. And a lot of that happens a lot of times. It's contagious. It's like hitting.
Well, and I think they also support him with the 3 runs early.
Well, that helps.
A lot of times the pitcher's struggling. He finds a little more well of confidence when he's got a few runs on the board for him.
Well, it does definitely helps to have a few runs on the board when you have to face Albert Pujols with a man on. And I was sitting here the other day, and we watched Albert last Sunday, and I've watched a couple other games this year. And I was trying to figure what can an average hitter, another hitter, a young hitter, learn from watching Albert Pujols hit. And I think we're going to show some of that later on, but I think there are a lot of things you can learn watching him. You may not be able to duplicate it, what he does, but you can learn something.
Ooh. Got the high fastball maybe up out of the strike zone, and he attacked it.
So you can learn something right there. Don't swing at the high fastball. Because you can't hit it.
Albert is hitting .526 so far this year when he's batted with men on base. He's got one out there right now. In the dirt with a changeup, saved by Barajas.
Well, that's not a good combination for the Mets, because coming into this game, John Maine was, with runners on base, 10 for 20 he was for Jerry Manuel. So far today, he's done a little better. This is an uncomfortable part of the game for him, even with a 3-0 lead, because remember, Albert lined deep to left center that Gary Matthews put down, and then Matt Holliday on deck got a base hit.
The walk to Ludwig is the 5th base runner allowed by Maine already. This is only the 3rd inning with 1 out. And the count to Pujols goes to 2-1. This is the 12th man he's faced. And of the first 11, 5 of them have reached base. So he's not exactly dominating the Cardinals so far. Matt Holliday on deck, and he's also thrown 61 pitches already. And now it's 3-1 to Albert.
You know, those pitches right there that he throws high, and he just kind of gives up on him. He spins off and goes towards first base, drops his elbow, and just shows a lack of commitment down the hill at times when he just kind of gives up on the pitch a little bit early in his delivery.
High in the air. This will stay in the yard. Left center. Pagan. And it looked like Albert might have chased ball 4 right there.
As good as Albert is, sometimes even he can't hit some of the pitches that are out of the strike zone because this is a fastball up and in. Let's take a look at Albert. He swings at the first fastball up and out of the strike zone, way up and out of the strike zone. And then he throws him 2 straight changeups. And you can see Kenton in the fastball away. Now he comes back with a fastball in. And Albert, although K-Zone says it was right at the top of the strike zone, it appeared that it might have been up and in. And Albert think, you know, that's the problem. If you're as good as Albert, you think you can hit any pitch. And in most cases you can.
So 1 ball and no strikes to Holiday, who hit a single to right his first time. His first hit since last Sunday night. He had gone 0 for 16 prior to that base hit. 2 down, runner at first here in the 3rd for the Cardinals. Albert Pujols in that game last night, 2 hits in 5 at bats plus 4 walks. Most of the walks came in those extra innings. Every time he came up, they walked him until the 19th inning, and they didn't walk him with the base empty. He hit a double and eventually scored the tying run of the game. But this is a topic sometimes when the guy gets walked a lot.
How can he maintain his focus?
Well, but not just that, but also can he sort of tend to be a little more prone to swinging at those high fastballs out of the strike zone? Because he's not seeing much to hit.
If it was anybody but Albert, I would say yes. And I'll tell you, the other guy that didn't do that was Barry Bonds. Bonds, he would just take his walks. If they didn't throw a strike, he didn't swing at it. He did not go out of the zone, even though they may have walked him 2 or 3 times in a row. He did not do that. And Albert, in most cases, does not do that. But he is a little more of a free swinger than Barry was. I mean, he is. He's a little more aggressive, so he swings at a few more bad pitches.
He will tell you that he has a plan, too. It doesn't matter who's hitting behind him or in front of him, but his plan is the way he wants to hit. Now, it may affect the pitcher who's in front of him or who's behind him or if there's man on base, but it doesn't affect Albert's plan.
2-2 now to Holiday. Albert is a guy who hits for power but does not strike out very often. You see his last 2 years, and he strikes out. In the 2000, this is 2010. It was the one season, which we're only 11 games in, so it really doesn't mean a whole lot.
It's a small sampling, but also remember Albert lost some at bats in spring training too. He had a little back injury, he had to take a shot. So just like we're talking about Jose Reyes getting on track, Albert has been out there every game and swinging the bat well, and production is there. But sometimes a little bit of the eye is not quite there, and the at bats and the reps from spring training were short.
Runner goes, and there's ball 4 to Holiday. Second walk of the inning. 2 men on with 2 men out. Colby Rasmus coming up. Tuesday night on ESPN, filmmakers Adam Kurland and Lucas Jansen chronicle the early development and ultimate explosion of rotisserie baseball, the first fantasy league, and they'll shine a light on the founding fathers of rotisserie baseball. Silly little game on ESPN Tuesday at 8 Eastern, part of ESPN Films' critically acclaimed 30 for 30, presented by Levi's. Rasmus, change up, and it's 0-1. Rasmus struck out his first time, and after an outstanding first week, week number 2 has been a desolation for Rasmus. And a foul out of play, 0-2.
Well, he is throwing a lot of changeups, as you said.
Second time around the order.
Yeah, I mean, that's 2 straight changeups.
And he's leading people off. Usually a first pitch changeup is not something you recommend, but John Maine has really gotten narrowed down to the fastball and the changeup. And so Rod Barajas behind the plate is bringing him along with starting hitters off with the changeup the second time around.
2-2.
I remember talking to Tom Seaver about that, starting to hit it off with a changeup. He said changeup off of what?
Exactly.
So he's saying you have to establish something for the hitter to look at before you can change up on him. although it seems to be that that's a little different now. A lot of guys do throw first pitch changeups.
And Pagan to end the inning. Cardinals have put 6 men on and have not scored a run. Brett Maine working hard, but so far successfully. Francoeur coming up. At Busch Stadium, as always, to see the Cardinals and the Mets. The Mets are out in front 3-0 as we start the 4th inning. John Maine has now thrown 73 pitches in 3 innings. Has not allowed a run. But you wonder how long he's going to be around with that kind of a pitch count. He's allowed 6 base runners. And he may well be pitching for his job in that rotation after getting knocked around a couple of times already this year. As Jeff Francoeur is the first out of the inning. Schumacher grabbing that one. Francoeur, who walked in that 3-run 2nd inning rally, is gone.
Well, that's what you call perfect positioning right there. I mean, that was a line drive back through the middle, and Schumacher was standing there. That's why Francoeur was so upset. I mean, you do not play hitters to pull that much unless you're in a shift.
Now here is Gary Matthews Jr. in for a strike. 3-0. The Mets are leading here in the 4th inning. Matthews singled his first time as they got the bases loaded with nobody out in that 2nd against Wainwright. The changeup missing. 1 ball, 1 strike, and then Pagan got the big hit. The hit that has been so hard for the Mets to get early this year.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Gary Matthews Jr. And, you know, he's a great defensive outfielder. We know that. The reason I say I'm a fan of it is he may not look like the best hitter every time at bat, but he gets things done. I remember when he was at the Yankees, he'd get a lot. I mean, with the Angels, he'd get a lot of big hits. You know, late in the ball game, he may have been 0 for 3 up until that point. But
I think he's a really smart player,
that's
too.
That's what I'm saying.
I mean, he is a baseball player. You think of Alex Cora, everybody compliments Alex, not on his skills, but his brain. I think Gary is right there, and Gary's had some outstanding years because of talent also.
Right.
And the curveball. Now that is the great Wainwright curveball for the strikeout.
Well, this is Uncle Charlie. This is 12-6. When you hear baseball vernacular, 12-6, that's on a clock. So think of 12 and down to the 6, and that's Adam Wainwright. It's an overhand delivery, high 3/4 delivery, and you see that just go right down there. That might have been 1-7, but we'll call it 12-6. And I think Super Slow-Mo picked up the fact that his hand kind of comes off the ball a little bit. He raises a finger to really allow himself to bite the curveball with his power finger in the middle.
In the K-Zone, brought to you by MLB 10, the show. Barajas, who popped to short his first time, with a count of 0-1. 2 down and nobody on. 3-0 Mets. And a foul out of play.
Watch Adam Wainwright's hand on this curveball. Watch his finger pop up. You see that? That's his index finger coming off the ball. So now he's only gripping it with his thumb and his middle finger. And that allows that equator of the ball for it to slip out a little quicker and give it a little more spin, a little more bite. Takes a lot of strength to do that.
And that hit him.
Well, the question is, did he swing at it?
And it's ruled a swing. The first base umpire, Dana DeMuth, on the appeal said that's a swing. So it doesn't matter if it hits you. If you swung at it, that's strike 3.
Well, that was my question. Were they going to call it on the swing? Because he did start his swing.
And Eddings was not pointing him to go to first base. He was pointing at the first base umpire. Well, it looked like a swing to me. And it did to Dana DeMuth. Perhaps more importantly, the inning is over. And we're going to visit with Jerry Manuel if he has finished his discussion with DeMuth in 60 seconds from the Mets dugout. We'll be back. Welcome to Jerry Manuel, Mets manager from the Mets dugout. Jerry, thank you.
Jerry, Oral Hershiser, assess John Maine for us so far tonight.
Well, he's been a little erratic with his fastball, but he's using it. And I think the more he uses it, the better command and control he'll have of it. And when John Maine is really right, you'll see a lot of foul balls. His ball will have a little late life. And hopefully we're getting back to that. 73
pitches, 20 innings last night. Who is available in your bullpen? Who is not?
Toby Stoner will be available. Igarashi is available. Takahashi is available. Feliciano is available. The other 2 right-handers are not available tonight unless we have a chance to win this game. We've got to do what we have to do.
All right. Thanks so much.
All right, guys. Thank you.
And we thank Jerry Manuel for joining us on FaceTime, brought to you by Edward Jones, live from the Mets dugout.
And that's what we're talking about. I was talking about in the open, John. He has to play every game, like it's the last game, because obviously there's a lot of static going on about the fact the Mets are off to a slow start.
Yadier Molina, who was not happy with a called strike 3 from Doug Eddings, the plate umpire, when Molina was batting in the second inning. And Yadier was wearing a microphone or is tonight, as he fouls one back to the screen. And here's what he said after Eddings rang him up.
Hey! Hey! That's a good pitch. That's a good pitch. Yeah. You think so? Yeah. It's not down. I thought it was a pretty good pitch out here.
Well, that's the way you should talk to the umpire and vice versa. Just let him know that you thought it was down, and he can give you his opinion.
Center field, Matthews, and Molina is 0 for 2. Molina, who is tough to strike out ordinarily. So 1 away, and here is David Freese. Mets in the game yesterday, Santana started, then Igarashi an inning in the third, Feliciano 1 1/3, Nieve 2 1/3, Takahashi, 2 innings. And don't go anywhere. We're not done. Mejia, 2 innings. Valdez, 2. And then K-Rod. And we need a little more explanation about K-Rod. Only 1 inning. Pelfrey, then the starting pitcher, who started a game on Thursday and pitched beautifully in Colorado, got the save. But going back to K-Rod, as Freeze is the hitter. He got hit by a pitch his first time. And Maine is very high. 1 ball and 1 strike. But he warmed up from the 9th inning on. He warmed up with 11 or 12 straight innings. Every inning, because if they'd gone ahead in any one of those innings, then they would have brought him in to save the game.
But I think, John, there was a big contrast with what you're talking about, the way the managers played the game yesterday. I mean, Tony La Russa didn't have pitchers or closers left, and Jerry Manuel did, you know, late in the ball game. And, you know, Tony ended up with 2 position players pitching, whereas with, you know, the Mets, they used pitchers rather than position players. Even though they were about to run out at that point, they were able to win the ball game.
Well, significantly, as Freeze is robbed by Reyes in the dirt, and the first baseman Catalanado cannot hold it. So Freeze is safe at first, despite the best efforts of Jose Reyes.
And remember, Catalanado is not normally a first baseman. Someone who is experienced over there would probably have picked this ball up, because it's not a bad hop, it's a short hop, and a nice play by Reyes. It does sink. Well, it's a little tougher than I thought. It didn't hit as close to the glove as I thought it did, but excellent play by Reyes. We've seen him do this, but again, I mean, the guy missed a lot of spring training. He's still not the Jose Reyes that we've grown to know and love, and after missing most of last season as well.
That'll be scored as a base hit, and Brendan Ryan takes ball 1. Ryan hit a single his first time.
That's the kind of play for Jose Reyes that will start to slow the game down. When you do something above and beyond the ordinary, maybe a little banged up on the arm there from the dive, but you do something above and beyond the ordinary, coming back, it starts to make you feel like, I'm ready, I'm there.
And back to the screen. By the way, we were talking about all the relief pitchers used last night. Nobody went more than 2 1/3 innings, whether they were actual pitchers or infielders turned pitchers or outfielders turned pitchers. Nobody went more than 2 1/3. And without exception, in my experience, when a game goes that long, some relief pitcher ends up going several innings at some point. But in fact, there had never been a game longer than 17 innings in the history of the game where no relief pitcher went more than 2 1/3. That's the first time it's ever happened, a game that long.
But because of the length of that game, they did a lot of research on games that Joe and I played that were lengthy. And I played in a game in 1989 that was 22 innings between the Astros and the Dodgers. I was a reliever in the game and went 7 innings, John.
As a reliever?
As a reliever. It was a side work, 87 pitch side work that pitched 7 innings.
So what, you had a couple of days off?
2 days off. It was my side work day, and Tommy said, can you go? I went. We still lost the game 5-4. Jeff Hamilton, our third baseman, got the loss in the 22nd inning.
How'd you feel after that game?
Well, I didn't feel real good. I didn't get a W.
Well, did you make your next start? Or did you
no, I had to miss my next start. That turned out to be the start.
3-2 the count to Brendan Ryan. Adam Wainwright out on deck with a runner at first and 1 out here in the 4th inning. 3-0. The Mets are leading.
We talked so much about Albert Pujols getting walked in those extra innings. I remember Glenn Davis for the Astros was the big hitter at that time, and I think I walked him an awful lot during those 7 innings.
There goes the runner in a pop-up toward the pitcher's mound. David Wright up onto the mound. And it wasn't easy, but he caught it.
What is that like, Joe?
That's
tough
tough
you've done
to
that
do,
for second base.
running up on the mound.
Yeah.
You know,
ball's coming down, your feet are going up.
I never ran up on the mound to catch a ball. That was a third baseman's ball.
I was going to say, you just let it drop, or what you do?
I let the third baseman get it. But he's staggered up the mound and makes a fine play. I mean, he keeps his eyes on the ball, and he's able to make the play. The second baseman shouldn't have to come that far. Usually, being honest, it's always the third baseman or the first baseman because they're already close. They're the closest to the mound. You know, second base and shortstop, you're too far away, so they're always closer to the mound, as you can see right there. So it's easier for them to get there. Although we saw Billy Martin make a great play like that in the World Series.
Well, being a pitcher, I'll tell you, I've had to go up and down that mound a lot catching ground balls. Right. It's easier to catch a ground ball going up the mound than it is to catch something going down the mound with your feet going out from under you. You lose your balance a lot more when you're going down the hill than up.
Adam Wainwright struck out his first time facing John Maine. 2 balls and no strikes, the count to Maine. Maine had thrown 73 pitches through the first 3 innings. He needs a relatively quick inning. He's up to 90 pitches for the game already. As Jerry Manuel just told Oral Hershiser, the bullpen is not as filled up with fresh arms as would normally be the case. A couple of lefties he thinks could be used, and a couple of right-handers. One they brought up from the minor leagues today, Toby Stoner. And the 2 of those guys at the end of the game, Mejia, K-Rod, he kind of mentioned he really wants not to use them. Although if it comes down to it, right, the whole thing's on the line at that moment, he may change his mind about that.
Jacobs, the first baseman, he was sent down. You mentioned they brought up Stoner today. He was
2-2 the count to Wainwright.
Well, they actually designated him for assignment, which is the only thing they could do is release him or send him to the minor leagues if he decides to go.
It's a soft way of saying you got fired.
Yeah, no, I know.
That's what baseball's a nice way. Yeah, exactly.
He might end up being picked up by another club.
Exactly.
Or required as a trade. Or if everybody else declines, he could end up, I guess, going to the Mets minor league system. Yeah. They have a young guy named Ike Davis, who was a revelation during the spring. They think is the first baseman of the future. It's Wainwright. Fouls that one. The count remains 3-2, and back to first goes Freeze. A lot of foul balls.
Well, that's what
against Maine in this game.
Well, that's what Jerry Manuel was saying. When he's throwing well, you get a lot of foul balls because of the late movement. But that also adds to the pitch total, because foul balls count. Otherwise, if they're putting it in play on the ground like he would want them to, then the inning's over.
This is another foul ball. That's the 23rd foul ball hit by the Cardinals in the 95 pitches thrown by John Maine. And this is only the 4th inning. He's thrown 7 innings worth of pitches already in this game.
He hasn't broken the 20-pitch threshold. Every inning over 20 pitches. Here, struggling to get Adam Wainwright, the pitcher, out.
This will be his 23rd pitch of the inning with Freeze running, and he walks him. Check swing by Wainwright. He walks the pitcher. But he could be starting to have a little fatigue setting in as Dan Worthen calls the Mets bullpen.
Their ringer might be worn out on that bullpen phone on both sides after that 20-inning game yesterday.
I think Worthen is going out just to give the people in the bullpen, whoever they're getting up, a chance to get loose, or start to get loose.
Well, not finishing 5 innings has been an all too frequent occurrence for John Maine the last 3 seasons or so. And that includes last year where he was injured a good part of the season and didn't actually pitch that much. The plate umpire, Doug Eddings, is going out to the mound to rush them along here. Mets are just now getting somebody up. There's Toby Stoner. As you mentioned, Joe, the Mike Jacobs designated for assignment. Toby Stoner brought up. That might be the whole reason. They just needed a fresh arm who could give them some innings here tonight.
Exactly. When I was pitching coach for the Rangers, Buck Scholler was the manager, John Hart was the GM. We would be on the phone with the GM when we got to extended games like that, talking about the staff and what we had available for us, maybe even shutting down somebody down in the minor leagues. If you could get to your minor league club and talk about a pitcher that you might call up, shutting him down in the bullpen in the minors.
2 men on, 2 men out. Strike one to Skip Schumacher. And the changeup tap foul. So he's thrown him 2 changeups and starts him 0-2. Yesterday, the Mets lineup card that they post in the dugout. And the only pitcher showing up on that lineup card right late in that game was Oliver Perez.
The only player that was available. They used 24 of the 25-man roster yesterday.
Right to the second baseman, Alex Cora, and the inning is over. Cardinals are 1 for 5 with runners in scoring position. We'll talk to Tony La Russa, Cardinals manager, from the St. Louis dugout in 60 seconds. Cardinal manager Tony La Russa from the St. Louis dugout. Tony, many thanks.
How you doing, Tony? It's Joe. Hey, man, I want to know about Yadier Molina. He caught 20 innings yesterday. Why is he catching today?
Well, you don't write him in unless you check when he shows up, Joe. And he came in, and night game, it's cool. He felt great. And I think I might have mentioned, but I meant somebody. When the game was over, yes, Dave Duncan thought that may have been the best 20-inning catching job he'd ever seen. Yadier was great. And if he's ready to go, he plays.
Okay. Who's available in your bullpen tonight?
Everybody but Hawksworth. He's the only guy we stay away from.
Okay. Thanks, Tony.
All right.
Many thanks to Tony La Russa, Cardinal manager, for joining us on FaceTime. Brought to you by Edward Jones. Yadier Molina. Well, one thing we know for sure, the man is in great shape. Because
he was after this.
He was not. He never looked fatigued or anything. He did some of his best stuff in the 17th, 18th, 19th innings in that game last night, when you would have figured he would have been his most fatigued, throwing out David Wright at second in the 17th, getting the big hit in the 19th, with 2 down to keep the Cardinals alive, the drive in the tying run.
Well, I think if you're the Mets, you need to try to scratch out another run or two if you want to hold this lead, because they're not going to continue to get runners on and not be able to score them.
Curveball punched into left field, a base hit. Pagan, who had the big hit, the bases loaded single on which 3 runs ended up scoring in the second inning. And he singles here, the first time the Mets have had a base runner since Pagan's big hit back in the second.
That right there shows that Angel Pagan knows what he's doing tonight on hitting a curveball. He takes a curveball for a strike, gets a base hit to left field, but the at-bat, in the first at-bat, he gets to an 0-2 count, and Adam Wainwright goes for the curveball. You see, he gets there 0-2, and here we go, curveballs right down the middle, look like a fastball down the middle, end up in the dirt. He does a great job staying off him, then picks on this slider, doesn't hit it well, but at least he got to the pitcher's pitch that he could hit, and look at him. He sees a curveball this time, not in the dirt, but high for a strike, does the right thing with it, takes it the opposite way.
Maybe they better rethink their scouting report on him. It looks like he's sitting on a breaking ball and not waiting for the fastball.
Here's Maine in a bunt situation. Runner at first, nobody out. Maine already squared around, and back to the bag goes Pagan. Pagan was a guy who could steal a bag last year, and often hit in the absence of Jose Reyes, hit leadoff for the Mets.
With Yadier Molina behind the plate, I don't think you're going to do a fake bunt steal right here. I think he'll shut the running game down.
Well, Pujols left the bag early and came racing in toward the plate, and Maine, after showing bunt for the last 5 minutes, then brought the bat back as if to swing away.
This reminds me of the story of Pete Rose before breaking the hit record. He would do this against me, and he was there. And one time I swung and fouled the ball back, and I said, Pete, it's going to be a shame if you get this one in the teeth and can't break that all-time hit record. He goes, just get in there, rookie. Then I popped up, and he goes, right turn, go take a seat.
So is that a play when you're the hitter that you get from the manager, or do you decide to do that based on what you see from the defense?
No, you get it from the manager. If you're told to bunt, you don't
go up there and call it what they used to call the butcher boy.
And Wainwright thought about second, but instead will go to first. Schumacher, the second baseman, covering. And Maine gets it done. That ball would have hit him, I think, if he hadn't have bunted it.
Excellent job of base running, though, by Pagan, because this ball is bunted back to the pitcher. And Wainwright, as we talked about, is a gold glove pitcher, and the ball might have hit him. It's going to be inside. But Wainwright quickly got to it and wanted to go to second. And a lot of times that's the easiest ball to bunt, John. You see that ball better when it's close to you than reaching out over the plate trying to bunt it to first base.
Just about to land in your
well, not hit you, but
you're
close. Just close, not close enough to hit you, but a pitch on the inside part of the plate.
So the Mets with a 3-0 lead. Now the top of the order with a runner at second and one out. Jose Reyes, who twice has fouled out to the third baseman. Caught at third by Freese.
And Jose Reyes, bad luck.
2 down. And before Cora bats, let's go to Steve Berthume in the studio for SportsCenter right now. Cora now with a runner at second and 2 down. We're in the 5th inning, and Cora got hit by that pitch. And now David Wright, one of the Mets' best hitters, is coming up with a chance to do some damage. Tomorrow night, Monday Night Baseball, presented by Sears Lawn and Garden on ESPN at 7 Eastern, 6 Central. The Cubs and the Mets, Randy Wells and John Neese at Citi Field. Then Wednesday Night Baseball, presented by Captain Morgan on ESPN at 7 Eastern. Phillies Braves, Jay Happ and Tim Hudson in that one matched up. Here's David Wright. He is twice grounded out to third against Wainwright. 2 men on, 2 men out. And the curve, 1 ball and no strikes. This is a big spot where the Mets have a chance to extend their lead with their big RBI man at the plate.
Yeah, he's gotten him out twice with the curveball. He starts him with the out pitch right away here. See what he works him with. Probably going to work the inner half of the plate sometime.
Little cutter or slider on the outside.
Well, Wright hit the ball hard his last time up. Remember, he got a curveball. He hit it hard to shortstop.
Yep. Nice play by Brendan Ryan. You're right. Yep. Deep in the hole, that one hopper.
Pagan at second. Cora at first. 1-1 the count. Strike 2.
Now that's a high strike.
David Wright, who had consecutive seasons of 30 or more home runs for the Mets, and then last year hit only 10. But he got 3 already, which is a good sign if you're a Mets fan. That's for sure. Or if you're Jerry Manuel. That's foul off the right field line. He homered on opening day at Citi Field, which was sort of a home run graveyard last year, but neither Wright nor any of the other Mets were even hitting home runs when they traveled last year.
That was interesting there. Molina hit with his glove on the ground to tell him to bounce the fastball or at least get it down low, and he didn't get it there.
Don't you think he was deacon for the hitter to say it's going to be a breaking ball?
Curveball. Strike 3 call.
I don't know. The hitter shouldn't be looking.
Exactly.
Albert Pujols coming up second. Then Holiday, the big power hitters, coming up. Adam Wainwright. That looks just like the pitch he struck out Carlos Beltran with back in 06 in October. Of the New York Mets, and it's a fastball away to Ryan Ludwig for ball one. The big power coming up. Ludwig followed by that man, Albert Pujols, and then Matt Holliday due up third. Change up, down and in. 2-0. The Mets need some innings out of Maine. Maine needs a strong start. He's given him 4 shutout innings, although it's been a perilous journey for him. They've had 2 base runners in all 4 of the innings. Now it's 3-0, but he's thrown over 100 pitches already.
John, when Dan Warthen, the pitching coach, went out to visit him last inning, I could see him saying, I am throwing my fastball. But meaning, you know, he was using it, and I think Warthen wanted him to use it, but the first couple of pitches here, he has not just let the fastball go.
The Mets bullpen is going to get busy again. 3-1 the count. And a fastball. Now, when the game started, he was throwing that fastball 90, 91, 92.
Yeah. Well, here, watch his lips. You'll see him. So that's his fastball.
Really?
He was saying it in slow motion.
He said fastball really slow.
Throwing my fastball.
But it was. I saw it in real live time, and it said fast.
You can't hit your cough button when you're laughing that hard, Joe. You got to laugh on air.
Yeah, no.
3-2 the count.
Producer error there. They took credit for it. Producer error. No, but he did. He said, I am throwing my fastball.
That was the truck like those tire tracks on the back.
That's not a good sign.
No, he said producer error, not me.
It's not a good sign if the pitcher goes to throw your fastball more, and he says, I am throwing my fastball.
Exactly.
Well, throw it faster. And it's a walk at 87 miles an hour with a fastball. He may not have much left to offer here. The Mets don't have much left to offer in the bullpen. Toby Stoner brought up in the minors today to give them a fresh arm because everybody worked in yesterday's 20-inning game.
It's a very difficult thing for Jerry Manuel and Dan Warthen to handle this right now. You do not want to take Maine out while he has the lead. You'd like to let him go 5 to get the win if you win the ball game, but it's very difficult to leave him in the way he's throwing.
Albert, first ball swinging, pops it up. David Wright. And a 1-pitch out from Albert Pujols, no less. A blessing for John Maine.
And that had to buy him some more time. Say, I can get Albert Pujols out, I can get anyone out.
It's only the 3rd batter that has been determined on 3 pitches or less by John Maine. Probably the first has just been 1 pitch.
A fastball right up and away. Albert has swung at the high fastball from John Maine, knowing that he probably doesn't have enough velocity to get it by him, but just Albert is not executing on his swing, squaring up the ball. Remember, he lined out his first at bat, and since then he's kind of got under the ball and popped it up twice. And that's a frustrated Albert Pujols for sure. 0 for 3 tonight. Some people, you see him tilting his spine right there, saying he's kind of uppercutting.
A look from K-Zone, brought to you by MLB 10, the show. That's a base hit to center field for Matt Holliday, his 2nd hit of the game. Plus a walk. Maine has not retired it. And for the 5th consecutive inning, the Cardinals have 2 men on base. They put 10 men on base in these first 5 innings and have not yet scored.
Well, he went back to the changeup, and Holliday just hit it back to the middle. I think the ball to Pujols actually moved a little late on that ball away, and I think that's why he missed it. But he threw Holliday a changeup and hit it right back through the middle.
The Cardinals, 1 hit in 5 at-bats as a team with runners in scoring position in this game. That's been a problem for them, too, early this year. As Rasmus belts one way back there to right field, and that ball is into the bullpen. This game is tied up. That's a nice way to snap out of an 0 for 17 slump.
Well, you know, I said this an inning ago, but, you know, the Mets needed to score some more runs because all the runners the Cardinals were getting on base, eventually someone was going to get a hit with runners in scoring position. I didn't know it was going to be a home run, but that was a fastball right down the middle.
Here's Yadier Molina. Hit well. This one will stay in the yard as Francoeur near the warning track takes it out number 2. Rasmus hit 16 homers as a rookie last year.
Watch where this pitch is. I mean, that splits everything. Splits the center of the plate, splits his body. That's just one of those batting practice pitches that you just drive out of the ballpark.
Well, he was living dangerously. Inning after inning, the Cardinals had men on base. And finally, Rasmus is the one who puts the Cardinals on the board. Here is Freese, who has been hit by a pitch and had an infield single, taking a strike. 3-3. A walk to Ludwig is how this inning started. And it's turned into a 3-run rally so far, and it's 0-2 now to Freese. Brendan Ryan is on deck. Colby Rasmus had 3 RBIs for the season until that home run. So he has doubled his RBI total. It is his 3rd home run of the season. They think he can be a 25 home run guy. Lots of power. Francoeur. And that is the inning. So 5 difficult innings turned in by Maine. It's 3-3 as we go to the 6th. Francoeur coming up second.
Presented by Taco Bell is brought to you by the all-new 2011 Super Duty, built Ford Tough.
Here in St. Louis, the neighborhood called The Hill on Elizabeth Avenue. It once housed 3 members of baseball's Hall of Fame. Yogi Berra and Joe Garagiola lived right across the street from each other. Down the street from there, Jack Buck bought his family's first home. Granite plaques now mark the locations of each of those homes. Yogi Berra and then Joe Garagiola, who is a Ford C. Frick Award winner in baseball's Hall of Fame. Great broadcaster. He was the catcher in the 1946 World Series for the Cardinals. Jack Buck also the winner of Ford C. Frick Award.
Congratulations on your Ford C. Frick Award, John.
Those are 2 of the great voices of the game.
Well deserved for you, though.
Thank you very much.
And adds your voice to that group.
Joe always takes that week off. I guess I'll be a solo booth that week when you 2 are there in the Hall of Fame. Or will they let Dan Schulman come in? Or?
No, I don't think so.
What are they going to do?
You're on your own, Orm.
I'm on my own.
We'll find out just how much of a bulldog you are.
That'll be interesting.
Catalanato hitting cleanup, facing Adam Wainwright. Maybe you ought to just start getting a little play-by-play work in right now, just in anticipation.
Actually,
maybe
we want to make sure, though, Oral, that people didn't think that we forgot about this. We did this before, that maybe some people weren't watching, so we did congratulate our partner on.
Yeah, you did a very fine job a week before. I just thought it might be appropriate just since we saw granite plaques with Ford C. Frick.
I'm thinking the same thing. I think we probably should do it every week because there'll be new viewers coming on, and we
should just take an inning and dedicate an inning to John.
Maybe Granite plaque on Margaret Drive in Hayward. Maybe you could take care of that for me.
All right.
They love you in Hayward.
I just don't want to see your name on a granite plaque ever, John. Okay?
I haven't heard any moves afoot to make that happen. But, you know, I hadn't really thought of it until just now. So Carlonado aboard on the walk by Wainwright. And here is Jeff Francoeur, who has walked and lined out to second. And the count is 0-1. You know, Francoeur was telling a story recently about some drills he did this spring with manager Jerry Manuel, or something that Manuel had recommended. They played soft toss, and he said, you swing at everything I throw, no matter where it is. This is a roller to short. Could be two. There's one. Schumacher to first. Two. A double play. And right now, after a great start to the season, hits have become scarce for Francoeur. The last 2 days, he's 0 for 9.
Well, remember, Schumacher is learning to turn the double play, and Ryan new to the big leagues. But they turned this perfectly. Nice rhythm here. Nice toss. Come across the bag. Throw to first. Double play. I like that. I like the feed. Perfectly done there by Ryan. But I also like Schumacher coming across the bag, taking the throw in rhythm, and making a good relay to first.
You like your shortstop, Davey Concepcion, to get his glove out of the way so you can see that whole ball there on the feed?
Yeah.
Yeah,
that works.
Don't hide it.
That works.
Matthews takes a called strike. He is singled and struck out. He's 1 for 2. But Manuel would play the soft toss. He'd throw one over his head. He'd throw one right at him. He'd throw one down. He'd throw one up. He says, wherever it comes, you swing at it. Then, after they do that for a while, he'd say, okay, now you just pick a spot, and you only swing if it's in that spot, no matter where I throw it. And Francoeur said that he felt that those drills were a big help for him in getting off to such a fine start, that in terms of having a better idea of what it was he's looking for and having a plan when he went to the plate. It is hard to remember. He's been around for such a long time. How young he still is, too. Strike 3 call. Another quick inning for Wainwright. 11 pitches and out. Down to the last of the 6th inning. Ryan, Wainwright, Schumacher due up. It's 3-3. ESPN Sunday Night Baseball presented by Taco Bell. Busch Stadium in St. Louis. Last of the 6th inning coming up. Mets 3, Cardinals 3. In the rubber match of a 3-game series. The day after the 20-inning epic, which was won by the Mets late last night here in St. Louis. 3-3 the score. And after A tortured journey through 5 innings. John Main departs, having thrown 115 pitches. And Toby Stoner, just brought up from the Buffalo Bisons in AAA ball today. 0-1 with a 4.32 ERA in 2 starts for Buffalo this year. Pitched 8 1/3 innings, allowed 4 runs and 9 hits with 3 walks and 5 strikeouts. His last appearance was 5 days ago. And a base hit for Brendan Long on the infield to start the inning. Frank Catalanato has moved to left field. He had been the first baseman, with Angel Pagan moving from left field over to center field. And Fernando Tatis is now at first base, hitting 9th in the order. Stoner will hit in the 6th spot where Gary Matthews had been. Matthews out of the game now. Double switch, triple switch. People are moving all over the place here on this one. Here's Adam Wainwright in a bunt situation. Ryan at first. Ryan, who had only 4 hits all year, has 2 tonight. And there's ball 1. Toby Stoner is 26 years old. The Mets, again, as we mentioned earlier, designated Mike Jacobs for assignment today, making room for Stoner to be brought up. Stoner got into 4 games with the Mets last year. And the count goes to 2-0. In his 4 games last year, he pitched 9 innings, allowed 4 runs and 9 hits. And he was 7-7 last year in 16 starts with Buffalo. There's John Main. And we saw between innings, it looked like Main was trying to convince his manager and pitching coach that he should be left in this game. He knows that the team needs some innings, that the bullpen's thin, but 5 difficult innings, 11 base runners allowed, and finally the 3 runs.
We complimented him a little bit during the outing on his command of his fastball. He lost that. Secondary stuff at times was there, the changeup.
A hit and run was put on there. The ball is fouled by Wainwright.
You give up the 3-run homer, and you really want to just kind of market your way back into the game. Your pitch count's over. The 100, Jerry's telling him, you battled him tonight. We're getting back on track. John there talking to him, saying, John Main wants to get back in the game. He's going to go back and forth between the two of them. And, I know I've got too many pitches, but, I feel good. I want to battle for the team. The bullpen's spent. You can do anything you can to get back in there.
Wainwright bunting again. And the count goes to 3-1. And Stoner having a hard time throwing him a strike here in a bunt situation.
Toby Stoner is 88-91, mainly a fastball changeup pitcher, throws his curveball rarely. And in the stretch, a little less command than in the windup. That's been his problem, mainly trying to breed him to be a starter. Kind of tough here throwing from the stretch.
Showing bunt now with the bat held back. The runner goes. And a swing and a pop-up foul out of play. And Wainwright, who is a 242 lifetime hitter with a count of 3-2. Major League Baseball and People Magazine are looking for individuals who make a difference in their community. 30 everyday All-Stars will be honored at the 2010 All-Star Game in Anaheim. To nominate, go to peopleallstars.com. Toby Stoner did not pitch in yesterday's 20-inning game because he still was with the Buffalo Bisons yesterday. Ball is hit hard to center. Pagan takes it. Throws back over to first base. Ryan hurries back to the bag. But Wainwright did not move his man up.
Well, he tried to, the other bat showed the confidence Tony La Russa has in Adam Wainwright to make contact. But the one thing he made a mistake there is he's in a bat with too good a wood, Joe. I always tried to get those bats with bad wood so the ball would fall in front of the outfielders when you hit them.
Well, you hit all right, didn't you?
Oral? I don't want to talk about it because Joe gave 100 points extra to every pitcher that could hit 200.
Well,
it was like
I said
200
a guy that hits
300.
200. No, I said it's like a hitter hitting 300.
Runner goes, and that will get the runner over to second.
I said it's like.
Schumacher
Similar.
Schumacher thrown out by David Wright. Go ahead, keep arguing.
We'll let you in, John.
It's similar.
I was trying to figure out when I hit 357 what I really hit then.
You hit 357.
No,
It's similar.
457.
It's like
Four guys are adding 100 points. I said it's as if an everyday player is a 300 hitter.
You know, I think it's really 350. That's like 500 for a pitcher.
Thanks, John. That's why you got the Ford Free Seat Frick Award.
All right, back to the game here a second. No, I'm going backwards. I digress here. I was shocked that he didn't make Wainwright bunt. You're in a tie ball game. You're late in the ball game. No one out. Runner at first. Let him bunt. Try to win. Try to go ahead. That's surprising me from Tony. Tony normally, would go. You're at home. Try to get ahead. You've been behind the whole game.
This is Ludwig. A pop fly. If it's fair, it could be trouble. It is foul. And nobody was able to get out to get it. The first baseman Tatis and the right fielder Francoeur giving chase. That would have put the Cardinals ahead had it stayed fair. 0-1 the count.
It showed how aggressive Tony was there, because in a 2-0 count, a 3-1 count, and the 3-2 count, he let Wainwright swing the bat a little bit.
Yeah.
You're right.
Is that? You guys are the analysts. You're the experts, but
I gave my opinion.
Here's Stoner just up for the minors. He's having a hard time throwing strikes. The count went to 3-1. And he's thinking, hey, the guy's up here bunting, just throw him a strike. He thought maybe Wainwright was a good hitter, was going to get one right down the middle. What do you think?
Well, I already gave my opinion.
Well, the two times, Joe wanted to go straight bunt, that's fine. But the two times he had him swinging, other than the 3-2 pitch, the runner was running, so it really was a hit and run. And Wainwright fouled it off. Not 3-2, you're right.
0-1 to Ludwig. And it is a ball and a strike. Ludwig has hit a double and has walked twice. He's another guy that has not really gotten it going yet. He had over 30 home runs 2 years ago, hit 22 last year, in a year where he had some injury problems, but has not homered this year.
But what Tony did do after that to get the runner in the scoring position, he put a hit and run on with Schumacher. So he did get him to second base. But now there are 2 outs.
And I understand what you're saying about the bunt. Just put the bunt on and get the guy over. And you got 2 shots to try to knock him in. But Tony had a reason for doing it.
I'm sure.
One and 2 the count. 2-2 now. Toby Stoner.
Well, you can see Toby Stoner's repertoire here. We haven't really seen the break ball. We've seen the fastball at 86 to 88, and then the changeup at 70 miles an hour. That's a 16-mile-an-hour differential, and you can tell that's his out pitch. You see Albert staring him down, has not had a bat off of him.
Well, he's on the verge of losing Ryan Ludwig and having to face Albert with a couple of men on base.
Yeah, but this is one of those situations you can't give in to Ludwig just because Albert's there, because he go ahead and runs at second base. So I think you still have to make a pitch.
3-2 the count. Ryan, who led off the inning with a single, is at second. And he walked it. He was not able to make the pitch. Third straight time that Ludwig has walked. 2 men on, 2 men out, and the great Albert Pujols coming to the plate is Barajas. Out to counsel, Rob Stoner. Or I keep calling him Rob. Toby Stoner. And now Dan Warford, the pitching coach, is also going out. The Mets bullpen is quiet at the moment. Albert Pujols hitless in this game, but in his first 10 seasons in the big leagues, he's had production that would equal some of the greatest players who've ever played the game. Joe DiMaggio, his first 10 years, hit .330 with 303 homers. Ted Williams, .347, over 300 homers. Hank Aaron, .320, 342 homers, the home run king. And then Albert Pujols, .334, this being his 10th season. Already 371 home runs, an average very similar to those all-time greats, and more home runs. And this 10th season for Albert Pujols is just beginning. He's got 5 home runs already this year in 11 games, 15 RBIs. Strike one.
Of course, Hank surpassed everybody as far as RBI total. And he drove in more runs than anybody in the history of the game. So he was just getting started like Albert his first 10 years.
0-1 the count. Curveball. Did he swing?
Check the foul ball.
So 0-2. Stoner quickly ahead of Albert Pujols. He lined up to center. His first time, he had a fly ball to left center in the 3rd inning, and he popped up to 3rd on the first pitch he saw in the 5th. 2 on, 2 out. Curveball, deep center field. Pagan squares up at the edge of the track, and the inning is over. Pujols has stranded 5 base runners tonight. On to the 7th, 3-3. And a young lady with a souvenir. Is that Fred Bird, the Redbird? Here at Busch Stadium, the Cardinals and Mets in a 3-3 tie. And a swinging strike one from Adam Wainwright to Rod Barajas, the 7th place hitter. Angel Pagan is on deck, and then Fernando Tatis due up 3rd in the inning. Only 1 hit allowed by Wainwright since the 2nd inning. That curveball hit high in the air to left, easing back Holiday. 1 away. Wainwright got in trouble in that 2nd inning with the base loaded 1 out, and Angel Pagan got the big hit, which got even bigger as the play went along.
Well, the Mets scored all their runs on this one play. We're going to show you something that we didn't see in real time. The throw is over. It gets through the catch. Now watch Wainwright. Watch his left foot. He steps on the line there, and he slips as he starts to throw to first base. He slips, and that makes the throw go high, and that's how the Mets scored an extra run that inning. Something that we can only see on Axis as we watch it again. That was great. You know, normally that line is just chalk, but it's something else because when he slid, you couldn't see where he actually messed up the line. I think it must be a board or something there. There's something there other than just chalk.
Yeah, so it could be. Yeah, it looks like it is. It's built in.
There's something that's built there, because otherwise he wouldn't have slipped. He would have just moved the chalk.
1-1 the count to Angel Pagan, the man who got that big hit back in the second inning. That hit which has been so often missing from Mets games this year. They came into this game as a team hitting only 163 in those clutch at bats with runners in scoring position. Pagan got the hit, and then as he was beating a hasty retreat to go back to first, the pitcher Wainwright tried to pick him off over there, slipped on that little painted board and threw the ball down the right field line, on which play Gary Matthews came around to score from second, and Pagan ended up at third.
It's interesting how they're pitching Pagan. He doesn't want to throw him a fastball. There's one. But he's been throwing him change-ups and curve balls. And Pagan has a couple of base hits. Let's see. This is the chalk right there.
Or the paint. They often use paint now.
Yeah. And there's the board we're talking about that he slipped on. There's another curveball. Not a good one there. That was more of a hanger, not his great curveball, but Pagan has hit the other breaking balls.
Good slider base hit, curveball base hit, and now this curveball fools him, gets him out in front.
That look from K-Zone brought to you by MLB 10, the show. 6 strikeouts for Wainwright. Here is Fernando Tatis. Slider just off the outside for ball 1. Tatis up for the first time. 35 years old, from the Dominican Republic. Hitting 174. A mighty cut. And he didn't get it. 1 ball, 1 strike. 4 hits, 23 at bats, no homers, 3 batted in. He resurrected his career year before last with the Mets and hit real well. As a role player, guy can play a lot of positions. That's a big curveball. Made him look bad. 1-2 the count.
Cutter on the outside part of the plate, 1 for a strike, and then the curveball out of the same window, but the big break really got him out in front.
2 down, bases empty in the 7th. Infield playing Tatis to pull. Another curve puts him away.
You can see him hesitate to get his grip better on that pitch.
Only 1 hit allowed in the last 5 innings now by Wainwright. Holiday coming up. Then Rasmus 3-3. The Mets and Cardinals are about to begin the last half of the 7th inning here on Sunday Night Baseball. I'm John Miller with Hall of Famer Joe Morgan and the great right-hander, the Bulldog, Oral Hershiser. And here is Matt Holliday. Holliday, who had a hitless week, and he had some sort of a flu-like thing happen with a fever that caused him to have to miss the game here on Friday. He was in a weakened state for that long game yesterday. But tonight he's had a single, a walk, and a single. 2 for 2. And another single. Maybe more. It goes to the wall, and he's going to go for 2. Francoeur digs it out, and Holliday eases into second with a double. His 4th straight time reaching base.
That's what makes him such a good hitter, John. He will go the other way. He tried to pull the first pitch, which was a breaking ball. Then he takes a fastball and he goes the other way with it because he's probably aiming back through the middle. He's a little late on it. Watch it. This is a fastball, and he just goes the other way with it. Watch how he keeps his head down. Look at his head right there on the ball. That's why he likes the ball down and out over the plate, because he stays right there. Good job of hitting.
So now Colby Rasmus, who hit a 3-run homer to tie this game in the 5th inning. He needs to pull a pitch here, either to knock Holliday in or at least get him over to third. Yadier Molina, who's been great in the clutch, on deck.
It was an interesting choice of pitches there. He hit a home run off a fastball his last time up. And watch this fastball right in the middle of the plate, and he hits it out of the ballpark. And now in this situation, they came right after him with another fastball. I know they're trying to keep him from pulling the ball, but if you throw him a ball in his wheelhouse, he doesn't have to pull it. He's going to drive him home.
Colby Rasmus. Runner at second, nobody out. And he gets the runner over to third. Tatis will take the play himself. He looked over at third base, but had no play on Holliday. So Rasmus, in a situation on the bat, gets that runner over.
Well, he threw him a changeup, and he was able to pull it. He pulled it hard on the ground.
Joe, can I take you back to the Holliday swing? As a hitter, if you're approaching the outside corner, isn't it easier to change your posture then if the ball is inside, but he does a good job going away, and then he could come back in if he had to?
Well, I think what happens, the approach that they take is, as Mark McGuire told me last week, his belief is to drive the ball back through the pitcher's chest, all right? So you're going back through the middle. That's why he was able to swing that curveball. He's going to pull it. Now, that's a fastball. He's a little later on it. He's going back through the middle, and he could still hit it the other way. But you're right. He could still come inside, pull his hands in if the ball's in.
I'm just thinking because, like, as a pitcher, you think about a hitter, he's approaching the outside corner. But if I throw it in, you can still kind of pull off it and get to the inside pitch. But if you start with an inside pitch, you can't reach the outside one.
Well, Pujols' belief is you use your hands. You know, you don't use your body to pull off. You use your hands to get the barrel there quicker.
Yadier Molina, the clutch hitter. We saw that pitch earlier in the telecast from Adam Wainwright that struck out Carlos Beltran to end that 2006 League Championship Series and send the Cardinals to the World Series. Yadier Molina was the big hitter in that series. And he's been great in the clutch for the Cardinals. This will not get it done with the infield drawn in. Holliday has to hold at third as Cora throws out Molina. And Yadier, after catching 20 innings last night, is 0 for 4 tonight.
Yeah, good job there by Stoner to get the ball sinking a little bit in the way, so he hit it on the ground. He actually hit the ball pretty sharply, but he hit it right at the second baseman, Cora.
Now David Freese, who's had 5 hits and 6 at-bats this year with runners in scoring position. The Cardinals have had at least one man in scoring position in all 7 innings in this game. The only inning in which they broke through and scored some runs, the 5th, and the Rasmus home run. Curveball blocked by Barajas, keeping Holliday at third. Toby Stoner in his 5th Major League game. He is a Marylander. Went to Garrett Junior College in Maryland and then Davis and Elkins College in West Virginia. And lives in Oakland, Maryland in the offseason now. Got the call on the inside. 1 ball, 1 strike to Freese, who's been hit by a pitch, had an infield single, and is flied out to right. Cardinals came into this game hitting only .212 as a team with runners in scoring position. Freese has had most of those hits. He and Albert, they're 2 for 9 tonight in those situations. And Freese and Albert have had almost all of their hits as a team for the year with runners in scoring position. Freese has had 5 of them. Albert's had 7. The whole team's only had 13. 1-2 the count from the windup. 2-2.
Toby Stoner can do what he is doing right now, continue to shut the Cardinals down, get out of this inning with a 0. What a great pickup for the Mets. Go the 20 innings and squeak out a victory, and then call up somebody from the minors and get some quality innings out of them, maybe get a chance to win here.
And the curveball blocked by Barajas. It's a full count with Brendan Ryan on deck. Ryan, who's given some indication of coming out of his early season slump with 2 hits tonight.
A little scouting report from the dugout on the pitcher, from Stoner, what he's been throwing, how he's been throwing, from Mark McGuire.
3-2. Caught by Reyes. He caught it and then fell over. That ball was hit hard. And a leadoff double comes to nothing for the Cardinals. Top of the 8th inning, the top of the order for the Mets. Jose Reyes, Alex Cora, and then David Wright coming up against Wainwright. It's still 3-3.
Presented by Taco Bell. Think outside the bun.
3-3, and Adam Wainwright, the outstanding Cardinals right-hander, a 19-game winner last year, to face the top of the Mets batting order and some of their best hitters, starting with Jose Reyes. He has kept Reyes off the bases tonight. Reyes is 0 for 3. 3 times he's hit the ball in the air, caught by David Freese, the Cardinal third baseman. Change up. 1 ball, 1 strike. After Reyes, Alex Cora, a left-handed hitter, and then David Wright, the Mets' top RBI man. Freese shallow at third. Another changeup. 1-2. Adam Wainwright has thrown 88 pitches. He had a 24-pitch second, the inning in which the Mets got all 3 of their runs against him. But he's had a real economy of pitches ever since. 88 pitches total. Curveball struck him out.
Well, Adam Wainwright has really settled down since the second inning when he gave up 3 runs, 2 earned because of his own error. He has continued to show the quality of pitcher that he is. Continues to throw his breaking ball for strikes. He's got his fastball, his cutter going. But the thing that's most impressive, not only the quality of his pitches, but the character of the young man as he comes back from the difficulty. And here he is going past the 7th inning again. 21 times last year. This is his 3rd start of 3 this year.
0-1 to Alex Cora. Wainwright has struck out 4 of the last 5 hitters. And there's that big hook. 0-2.
Well, he's gone almost exclusively to breaking balls the last few innings, John. I didn't think he had as good a fastball as I've seen even at the beginning of the game, but he has had a great curveball, great breaking stuff, and you see him putting it on display here more and more in the late innings.
Well, as Earl said at the outset of the telecast, got one of the best curveballs in the game.
There's another one.
Pop fly. Albert in foul ground makes the catch. He had to go a long way to get it. 2 down. David Wright coming up. Let's go to Steve Berthume in the studio for SportsCenter right now. And out of play off the bat of David Wright, who also has been kept off the bases. In fact, the first 3 hitters in the Mets batting order. Reyes 0 for 4. Cora 0 for 3 and was hit by a pitch. And Wright 0 for 3. So the 3 of them 0 for 10. Only one time reaching base. And quickly 0-2 to David Wright.
I don't know if it's the residual effect from last night's ball game, but David's not getting the barrel of the bat to the front of the plate. He's late even on the breaking balls.
Boom. That buzzed him at 91 miles an hour. Didn't hit him.
Well, with Frank Catalnato on deck, David Wright with the home run power back with 3 home runs already this year, he does not want to make a mistake to him. He's going to pitch him tough.
Curveball.
So he's late on that.
Back out of play off the right field line. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Is he late, Joe, or is he going the opposite way with a curveball like he should?
Well, he's late because he pulled the one curveball in the hole hard to shortstop up the middle. He's swinging. The barrel of the bat's not reaching the ball.
Ooh, that was close.
And like I say, he's going with a lot of breaking balls, as you can see.
2-2 the count. 2 down and nobody on in the 8th inning. Adam Wainwright, third baseman Freese hugging the line deep at third. And the curve, that one hung too high. That's a full count.
There's a fine line between a good curveball and a better curveball, and that's when you go to throw the better one, that's when you bring the hanger into the mix as a pitcher.
Outfield deep and straight away. The infield swung around toward third. He struck him out with a cutter at the knees. Wright is 0 for 4. Wainwright has 9 strikeouts. The Mets have only 1 hit since the 2nd inning. Schumacher due up against Toby Stoner, just brought up from the Mets AAA affiliate, the Buffalo Bisons. There's some pitching reinforcement after the 20-inning game depleted the Mets bullpen here yesterday. There's ball one to Brendan Ryan, who's had 2 singles and 3 trips to the plate after having had only 4 hits all year before tonight. And it's 2-0. The Mets bullpen is working right now. Back of Stoner. He'll be ready if needed. Hey, it's in the late innings and it's tied. Feliciano, number 25, the left-hander, and Igarashi, the right-hander, is also up.
I saw Takahashi pitch a little bit yesterday. He had pretty good stuff.
2 veterans of the Japanese leagues in the Mets bullpen now. Here's Reyes. And Ryan is out number 1 here in the 8th inning.
Let's take a look at David Wright on these curveballs. And what I mean, he's not getting the barrel of the bat to the ball. That means he's hitting the barrel. Watch where he's hitting the ball. See, that's late. So you can only hit it the other way. Now watch that. You may give me a better view here. I don't care where, even if you're going to right field, you still have to hit the ball in front of the plate, not back here. See where he's hitting that ball? That ball is behind the plate. And that's why that he's fouling them off to the right side. You still have to get the barrel of the bat to the front of the plate to hit the ball. If you hit it on the plate back there, it's going to go foul, which is what most of them were doing, and then he missed it completely.
Wainwright, the hitter. He struck out, walked, and lined out to center. And that line out to center occurred in the 6th inning after a leadoff single by Ryan. And on some pitches he was showing bunt, and then a couple of times they put on a hit and run play. And he's going to get an extra base hit of his own right here. Catalanato picks it up in the corner. Adam Wainwright, perhaps figuring sometimes you just have to roll up your sleeves and do it yourself.
Well, maybe he is a 340 hitter. You know what I mean? Hey, you know.
Maybe he shouldn't have been.
Yeah,
Bob.
maybe he shouldn't have been, you know. But he gets jammed.
Yeah, it's a fastball up, and I get to analyze the pitcher's swing, but I think, Joe, we get a side shot of his swing. It's a pretty good swing right there. It's not a long stride. Gets his foot down early, uses his hands, quick hands right there.
Gets the barrel out front.
Kept the ball fair, didn't hook and foul.
Second hit of the year for Wainwright. Both of his hits have been doubles. Guy's got himself a slugging percentage. We're going to get a pitching change, and Feliciano, the lefty's coming in to face the left-handed hitting Schumacher when we come back. possible go-ahead run, and you're talking about go-ahead run this late in the game. You're also talking about possible winning run. And there is Pedro Feliciano, the Mets left-hander who was brought in with the left-handed hitting Schumacher due up, but Tony La Russa has countered that move and sent up the switch hitting Felipe Lopez. Lopez, who hit over 300 last year, splitting time between two different ball clubs. Now back with the Cardinals. He spent some time here a couple of years back.
He's a good hitter, John.
Hitting .286 as a right-handed hitter. He's 0 for 4 lifetime against Feliciano. Ball one well off the outside. Now after Lopez, we've got the power-hitting Ludwig, and after Ludwig, the powerful and the great hitter, Albert Pujols.
But at some point, John, as a manager, you have to trust your guys to be able to get right-handed hitters out as well as left-handed hitters out if he's left-handed.
Feliciano got that one by him. 1 ball, 1 strike. Lopez pitched the 18th inning last night scorelessly. The infielder turned pitcher, turned in a scoreless inning. Actually lit up the radar gun at 86 miles an hour with 1 pitch. That's foul. He said today that his arm was a little bit stiff, a little bit sore after throwing, around 20 pitches or so in 1 inning. He's just not used to it. He said the last time he had pitched in any kind of a game anywhere was he was 14 years old in an amateur game.
You really take a risk as a regular when you go onto the mound because you're used to throwing with your foot hitting the ground and your back foot's being the same level. When you throw down that hill, there's more stress with your body moving away from your arm.
Changeup, down and away, 2-2 to Felipe Lopez.
Before the game today, Jeff Francoeur went out there and started throwing on the mound, yelling at Jerry Manuel, said, "If you need me, I'm ready."
Yeah.
But he needed him to throw from right field to throw the runner out the plate. First inning. He's got the arm for the mound.
2-2 the count. And out of play. Well, there was a thought that if the Mets, if that game had kept going, where finally Emmanuel had no pitchers remaining, that Francoeur would have been the position player most likely to come in and start pitching.
But you know what? They would probably hit him better than they would someone else because he throws hard. I mean, he throws like a pitcher in some respect. He wants some guys out there soft tossing, man, like in batting practice, no over swing.
2-2 the count. And lost the bat, fouling that one away.
Well, another reason that Adam Wainwright is still in the game is that extra inning game also. 99 pitches, but he hits for himself. He gets the double. And now he doesn't have a pinch runner out there, so he's taking the risk with him out there. But Tony La Russa is still trying to protect his bullpen, and he's got his ace or ace 1A, Chris Carpenter and he, the best combo duo in the big leagues over the last 2 years. 36 wins between the two of them, and the best ERA for the top 2 pitchers at 2.45. So La Russa trusting his ace 1A out there on second base to continue in this game.
Again, that soft one had him out in the front foot, but he was able to fight it off, and the battle continues. 2-2 the count to Felipe Lopez. Seen 7 pitches already from Feliciano.
Now, Barajas, you know, your infielders work with the catcher. Barajas gave David Wright a sign inside there that that pitch was supposed to come down his way. It's supposed to be inside and be alive. He pointed his glove behind the hitter.
Struck him out with a changeup.
So I believe that if you're a big league pitcher and you have good stuff, you can get a left-handed hitter out, you can get a right-handed hitter out. And I think at some point, as a manager, you have to find out. And I mean, we're finding out here, I think Feliciano can get both right-handers and left-handers out, although Jerry's going to make a double switch here, it looks like.
That one almost tumbled in there like a splitter. Jerry Manuel has got Ryota Igarashi coming in for the bullpen with 2 down and Wainwright still at second. Ryan Ludwig coming up. We'll find out what the moves are when we come back. And the new pitcher, Ryota Igarashi, 30-year-old right-hander, who hails from Chiba, Japan, although he lives now in Tokyo. And Igarashi, a veteran of the Japan leagues dating all the way back to 1999 with the Yakult Swallows. And he is in to face Ryan Ludwig. Igarashi came out of the 8th inning in relief of Santana in yesterday's game. Went an inning and a third through 30 pitches. That ball is hammered. Deep left center field. Way back there. Way back. It is gone. Ryan Ludwig sets off the fireworks. A 2-run big fly to break the tie, his first home run this year.
And both times the Cardinals have jumped on the first pitch in these situations. John Maine, fastball down the middle, and Rasmus hit it out. And now Igarashi throws a fastball there, and Ludwig's sitting on the fastball and does something with it.
Fans have stood on their feet cheering for Ludwig as Albert Pujols stands in. 5-3. The Cardinals, for the first time in this game, are leading. Ball one, the splitter too low.
Well, that's one of the things. Remember, Jerry Manuel said he wanted to stay away from the right-handers, meaning Igarashi was one of them, but he had a chance to win the game, so he wanted to go with it.
Yeah, that's a strike.
Even when the Mets were up 3-0, John Maine on the mound, it had to be uncomfortable for Jerry Manuel. They were really struggling to keep the Cardinals off the bases. They were just getting out of innings by the skin of their teeth.
Albert hits a soaring pop-up. Racing in from left field is Jason Bay, who just entered the game as part of a quintuple switch for the Mets. The inning is over. But Ryan Ludwig has taken one out of the yard. 2 home runs accounting for all 5 of the Cardinals' runs. Ludwig, a lot of big flies the last 2 years. This is his first home run in 2010, and it was a big one. Mark McGuire, Cardinals' new hitting instructor, says, yeah, I know what that feels like. And there's a called strike from Adam Wainwright to Frank Catalanato, leading off for the Mets here in the 9th inning. Felipe Lopez stays in the game. You see him over there at second base right now. The curveball. Strike 2 called. Catalanato singled in the second, starting the 3-run rally. He has fouled to the catcher and walked since then. Wainwright with a very under control pitch count as he tries to complete what he started, which would be a double blessing for the Cardinals and their bullpen to not only get a win, but not have to use the bullpen at all after everybody worked last night.
John, you made a great point there, too, that all 5 of the Cardinals' runs tonight have come on home runs. Well, guess what? About 60% of all their scoring this year have come on home runs.
Right back to Wainwright. 1 away.
So they have truly been a big fly kind of team.
They're still not hitting well in those clutch at-bats, runners in scoring position, but hitting a lot of big flies. They've hit 16 home runs for the year. MLB.TV. Baseball everywhere. Get over 100 live out-of-market games per week in HD quality where available on your computer. Visit MLB.TV for details. Now, this is not, although he pitched a lot of innings last year, more than anybody else in the National League, this is not the norm for Adam Wainwright. He had only 1 complete game last year as he led the league in innings pitched. He's only had 3 complete games in his Major League career.
I bet he wished he'd have completed the last game he started last year because he had a 5-run lead.
That's right to Freeze. And he throws out Francoeur. 2 down.
He had a 5-run lead in that game, didn't he, Joe?
Yep, that was for his 20th win, and
left
the
after
bullpen
7
couldn't
innings.
hold it.
Yep.
2 down in the 9th inning, and Jason Bay, who entered the game in the 8th inning, Bay went out to play left field. Tatis moved to second base. Catalanato moved back to first base. They had guys moving all over the field. So here is Bay. Off to a fairly slow start with his new club. No home runs, only 2 RBIs. And a slider is in there for a called strike.
John, the Cardinals got Wainwright in a deal with the Atlanta Braves when Walt Jocketty was still the general manager here.
Curveball to shortstop. Ryan to first. And the Cardinals have won it on a complete game from Adam Wainwright, who seemingly got better as the game went along. He allowed only 1 hit in his last 7 innings and none after the 5th inning. He retired the last 11 Mets consecutively as he wraps up the victory.
19-game winner last year has started out 27 innings possible. 24 of them he pitched this year. He's 3-0 so far. 22 Ks.
Cy Young-like Adam Wainwright, and he started the winning rally with a double in the 8th inning. On top of that, tonight's Chevrolet player of the game is who else? Adam Wainwright. His 4th Major League complete game, 9 strikeouts, only 107 pitches thrown. He only threw 8 pitches, retiring the side in order to wrap it up in the 9th inning. Adam Wainwright, and we don't really know how good he really can be yet. He was outstanding last year, and maybe the best is still yet to come.
Well, 3rd in Cy Young last year, and this year looking like Cy Young on top now.
Well, I think what I've seen with Wainwright is the evolution of a relief pitcher becoming a starter. Remember, he was a closer for a while, and then they started to build up his innings, and now he's a star. I mean, now he can go 9, as we just saw.
So, the Mets and the Cardinals. A wild weekend here in St. Louis, and the Cardinals take 2 out of 3. The Mets are going home to play the Cubs at Citi Field as the Cardinals head off to the desert and the Arizona Diamondbacks. Next on ESPN Sports Center. And this has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. For Joe Morgan, Oral Hershiser, and our entire crew, this is John Miller. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next Sunday. Now, good night from St. Louis.